What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today, we're going to be looking at
some Nuffle hands that Mike played.
Yeah, and I guess so. In case people don't know what Nuffle is like, is there anybody on this call that hears the term Nuffle and is like, "What the hell is that?"
I actually don't know what that is.
Yeah,
I've never
so
heard that term.
Nuffle is sort of an acronym, basically. Nuffle stands for neutralizing flop leads, and it is a strategy that is employed by a coach for somebody on the coaching site, which we frequent, and his name is Brad Wilson. And you can look for him online. You can do a search for Brad Wilson, and you can do a search for Nuffle. He has some videos on it, and if you sign up for his newsletter, he will send you the strategy guide that you can follow to implement this strategy. And it's basically a strategy that you take when the fishier version of your opponents donk into you on a flop when you are the pre-flop raiser. It can be multi-way, it can be single raise pot heads up, it can be even three bet pots on occasion. These are all going to be single raise pots. But anyway, it's a strategy that he has developed based on mass data analysis, MDA, and it's pretty crazy how successful it's been. But anyway, so we're just going to look at some of these hands and see if we, agree with the strategy or not, or talk about the strategy, because I can't really articulate what's happening behind the scenes and why it's so successful. I mean, we know why. It's because they typically donk into you with a range that is not very strong. And that's what the mass data analysis is showing. And so the strategy involves taking pots away from them later when we don't have anything and getting value from when we do and that sort of thing. So we can start looking at some of these hands. And maybe, and what we're going to be able to see, because this is the
AI
site.
because this is the AI generated hands that we used to simulate our observed opponents.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'll be able to kind of see some results. So anyway, here we go. So I'm not going to show you the strategy because it's proprietary content for him. But you would receive it if you sign up for his, if you look it up and try to get it. It's basically just a flow chart that you can follow and implement it there. Anyway, here we go.
But we will talk through it because discussing it is not. I don't think discussing it is violating a copyright. I don't think.
Well,
Yeah, I wouldn't
say
so.
Understand the strategy, right? We don't need a flow chart. As long as you understand the strategy, you're good.
Yeah. Okay, so we get called by a small blind here. Okay, now the small blind, based on these HUD stats that I have on him, I wouldn't necessarily put this player into the fish category. So this may not necessarily be a time we implement the Nuffle strategy. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens here. So we get this flop, and we do get a B75 donk from somebody that I probably wouldn't put into the category of a fish here. This is not your typical fishy stats on where we're at. So with that in mind, I think I would probably not implement it here. And I probably at the time was just playing normal strategy. And I don't think I'm folding pocket fours here. So we do call.
Right. And the difference between having the four and that four of spades there, for those of you who don't know, is really important. If you're ever considering, should I call with an underpair here? Without a very good way to divide your ranges without the four of spades fold and with the four of spades call, not because you're going to try to get a flush on the river that you think your four of spades is good, but because without it, you have half as many clean set outs. If you have four of clubs, four of hearts, and the four of spades comes as your set, you may have just taken your set into a flush. And that can't happen when you have the four of spades. That's why it's so valuable.
And so we get to the turn and he checks. Normally the strategy would involve betting here, or actually just checking behind here with basically any kind of pair that you might have. This is irrelevant to the Nuffle strategy. I don't think I'm employing it against somebody like this.
Right.
So I do check anyway, which I think is probably correct, I would imagine. And we get that turn. We get a B66-ish. And here we are with pocket fours against a pretty aggressive villain who flatted in the small blind. What do we think we do here? Would
If
this
you,
be, in
I,
theory, kind of a mix or just fold? Do we call?
On a paired board, well, you're already down the path of burning money by calling on the flop. I would just check it. I wouldn't fight. I wouldn't do anything with this.
you
You mean
mean,
you would fold?
I'd fold. Yeah, I'd just fold.
And you would fold the flop? Is that what you said?
Well, it depends. Like Scotty said, since I have the four of spades, if I feel like gambling, I would call. I'd put in one call. One call would be it. But if I'm ranging my opponent here, eights, tens, yeah, he could have a missed flush here. If you're playing against a good player, he has some eights here. He probably, if he's a good player, he probably doesn't have tens. The king is in your favor, so you could bet this because you have the king on the turn that he checked to. But I would just get out of the way of this. I don't you could be ahead, but I don't
here's
see.
here's my opinion of his range here is that the only hands that bet check bet here are 10x,
Mhm.
the pocket pairs that he started with that weren't great, but are
Yeah.
all better but are probably better than fours. Five,
Mhm.
sixes, and sevens do this. Nines might, but so I think I have him on five, sixes, sevens, tens, and then I have him on one other hand, and that hand is king eight.
King eight, yeah.
Only so I don't think you're running into any 8x here. I think you're running into a full house on the turn or the other hands that got scared.
Yeah, that's fair because if it's an eight, and if this is a
So
good player,
right,
he should
right.
be
And then
matched.
also missed flush draws can do
Yeah,
this. Although I think less of the missed flush draws. Missed flush draws can do this, and a straight draw can do this, and one of the straight draws, 7-9 came in. So that's my range of them.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Richie says 9 jack. That's one of the other straight draw. Yep.
Opening, yeah, 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 I'd fold here.
And against that range, I think a call is not. I don't think you're beating enough of that range to call. So I think you have to turn it into a bluff if you're going to go on. That's what I think.
Yeah, nobody's mentioned a pretty big part of his range here that I think we unblock a ton of ace X type stuff.
Just pure ace X. Good to know. Okay.
No, ace X of spades.
Yep. Any flush draw that he might flat here, any spade draw, but
Right. That's what I said. Yeah.
I
Spade
think
draws.
ace of spades, nine, ace of spades, seven, ace of spades, five, ace four, ace three, ace two.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. There's a little bit more
Okay.
that we haven't talked about. I don't know
All
what
right.
I do. I don't know what I do.
Let's see.
I call.
All right. King jack. Okay. So the donk was nonsense with just the king of spades and some really backdoor stuff, and then he got lucky. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think that a raise there was probably not going to work. You were probably not getting the king to fold.
Yeah. And we can use the language of whether it works or not. Is that would be kind of results oriented,
Yeah.
you
So I
know?
stepped away. What did he have? He had a king, didn't he? That's why.
Yeah, he had king jack off.
Yeah, that's why he checked. Now, why I don't know why he would donk lead with king jack off, but he checks because he has the king. He has value.
Yeah. And he's now afraid. He has value and he's afraid of the eight now. And then when you
Yeah.
don't bet, he says, my king is good.
Yeah, and then he goes in. Yes,
Yeah,
I was going to say that I thought it would have had to have been the king of spades, but if it was the king of spades, that would have emboldened him, right? You would
Yep.
think.
Exactly.
So that'd be a king of no spades. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we got another flat from the small blind. This is more typical of a loose passive type player.
Yep.
So we get this flop and we get docked into us again, B66. So here's where we're definitely employing the strategy.
Yeah, because otherwise you would fold.
Yeah, this would just be a pure fold to most competent players.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah, so this is part of the strategy is we just basically call our entire range.
Hmm.
And what happens next is they continue with a bet. And when we have air and when we have a draw, which we treat them both the same, we raise,
And
which
we raise and question here. Um, his sizing matters, right? It's not just his continue bet. It's if his size is smaller than what? Or does his size not matter?
size does not matter on the turn.
Okay. So anything that's not egregious. We're not gonna raise a 20,
Yeah,
we're not gonna raise a 2x pot, but
let me do something here. Let me pull this out of here so that we can't see it.
yeah.
And let me just double check. I don't think the size matters on the turn. It will depend on your hand, but when we have air,
Yep.
when we're facing a turn 50% bet or a pot size bet, there's two different actions. So
Okay.
anything less than pot, we raise,
Gotcha.
and anything at pot or more, we fold.
Perfect. Okay. So
So
this is a typical just
yeah,
close to
and
half pot C bet and you raise it.
yeah,
Great.
and as you say, it worked. But let's see. I think what we should do is track what they're donking with, what they're doing stuff with. Like have a running tally of the
Good.
category of hand, like
Yeah.
top pair good kicker,
Yeah.
top pair weak kicker,
Yep.
middle pair, second pair, draws, that sort
Great.
of thing. We should have a running tally, but we'll get to see what's happening. I
Okay.
think that's a good part of
All
this
right.
exercise.
Okay.
So we saw he's donking middle pair, middle weak pair. He's calling in the small blind with Jack four suited, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, this was a classic implementation of the strategy right here.
Yep.
Okay, we ISO,
All right.
and there's no change to whether you
R-
ISO or if you're the original, opener, whatever.
Right.
We get donked B50.
Hmm. Let's go.
Okay, and half
Let's go.
pot. And the strategy would call for a raise here, would call for pot plus his bet, so 30-ish.
Yep.
And I wound up folding here. Probably, I don't know why I didn't implement it here, but maybe because he was super tight so far.
He's a VP7. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what they're donking with. Okay, interesting. A limp call with ace king. I think, Scotty, in your words, it would have worked had we raised, possibly.
So you're considering king, queen here to be nothing?
To be, yeah, air or a draw, which I guess that would be the case, right?
Yeah. It was a draw on the flop and it became air on the turn.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right.
Okay, we raise, we get flatted from the big blind, a 33-0 type player, and we get docked into. We call. We actually get here.
So
That's
you're
nice.
never raising the flop. You're just calling and then evaluating the turn and raising on the turn.
That's right, never raising the flop.
You just call.
The exception is when they're short stacked. There's a kind of a short stack deviation that you take when you have somebody that has under 40 big blinds.
Okay.
So now we actually got here and he's betting another B50.
And
Yeah, I just didn't know if you guys what your
we can,
next move would be. If you just auto raise, if you call, I can tell you the strategy here is to just call.
mhm.
So you're you're not raising when you have it. You're just raising with junk. How are you balancing that? Is there any balance, or is it just purely exploitative?
This is pure exploitation.
So there's no balance at all in this.
Yeah, and again, like coming into this, I'm not sure how to articulate what's happening behind the scenes and how it works. So, you can ask me why we don't raise here when the chart says not to. I'm not going to be able to tell you why.
But you'd only raise if you wanted to keep balance, right? If you wanted to balance, you would raise because you
Yeah,
got to raise your nuts and your junk. But if you don't want balance, then you wouldn't raise.
Yep.
Yep. So I did just flat here,
Right.
and they go small on a flush completer, and we have the nut straight or
That's
the
still
top straight.
That's a 10.
That's still value for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get a call from just middle pair or
Okay.
top pair weak kicker.
Right. So they donked with top pair, 8 kicker. Okay. I don't know spell kick better. All right, there we go.
So we ISO'd a short stack here, a short stack poster. We ISO'd with 6s.
And
And
that's why is that why you made your ISO size smaller than normal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Full stack ISO for me is 4.
Okay.
4, 4.5. But I did ISO this short stack with 6.
Yeah. So I do push that bigger, but I don't object to this at all. You know why? His post is the same as putting in a blind, and 3 is a reasonable open against a blind, right? And 3 is a reasonable open in a 3 blind game, and that's what you're now playing. You're playing 0.511 with where one of the blinds is just in a weird spot. He acts before you instead of after you, so he's even more capped. So yeah, that 3 makes complete sense. I still would do it to 3.5 or 4, but it makes total sense. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay.
So we got a flat from this player. I can't see his HUD stats because they're back off screen here.
Yep.
Oh wait, maybe I can tell you what I can see it on another screen. This is first hand, so unknown, total unknown.
Gotcha.
So he donks half pot,
Mhm.
and he, by the way, he has 93 bigs behind.
Good.
So we call.
Mhm.
He goes nearly pot. Not sure I continue implementing here. I don't know what I do here. I do. I wind up raising.
That is a brave commitment.
Nice.
Nice.
And it, like you said, it works. Let's see. You won't be able to see it, but I can tell you what it is. He had queen 10 off with the queen of spades.
Great. Okay, so
He's donk leading with queen 10
great
off
draw.
on an ace jack 9. Well, it's open ended.
There we go.
Okay, so we're starting to see what these players are donking with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just what, 4 hands in, and we're seeing the kind of junk that happens. Except for that one player who we wouldn't put into the, fish bucket yet. He did not do it with air or with crap.
You mean our
That
top
king,
pair?
yeah, king jack off, right?
Yeah, the king jack guy. Yeah.
King
But
Jack.
he
Oh,
the king in the
no, he had
tournament.
air.
Yeah,
He had
there.
two
Yeah,
cards,
nothing.
back doors.
Yeah.
That was
Okay. Yeah. On the flop. Yep. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. The strongest hand we've seen so far is top pair with an egg kicker.
So it sounds like
We'll keep- And that's one thing, the thing you're about to say, Adrian, is exactly that, is that their donks are weak. The donks are a weak range. Not every single hand, but the overall range statistically is weak. And that's what we're gonna see, whether that's true or not in this small sample. But that's what this strategy is built on.
Okay. Got a half pot donk from somebody who's playing at 47-20.
Mhm.
Not too many hands, but their numbers are starting to show a little bit of being pretty loose. So they donk into here. We call. He checks. Our strategy now, when they check, is when we have air or a draw. is to B70.
Okay. So let's go 8.
And we got the fold. Okay. So let's take a look. He donked with
And
king
Top
10
pair.
off.
they set your range.
So this is the exception, and you got lucky with the next card, and that he plays weak.
Mhm.
Because
So
that was top pair good kicker. All right.
Yeah, but he's still calling king 10 off in the small blind.
Yes, that's still a mistake, and the next card was very good for you to make it work. Yay.
Okay, this player 8/0, 8 VPIP, no preflop raises, only 13 hands.
Yep.
So not much to go off. He donks pot. And by the way, he started with 95 big blinds.
Mhm.
He donks pot. We call, which, again, it's kind of blows my mind sometimes.
Yeah.
And he goes tiny. And this would call for a raise to 18 or 19
19. Yeah.
and a fold. So he donked with king 10 of spades.
Okay. Top pair king kicker.
and he folds top pair here with the one liner though.
He does.
Wow.
Okay, so
So
we
this-
iced up the poster. This is a short stack poster. I am less familiar with the short stack version of the strategy because it doesn't happen very often. And so I don't study it too often. I don't look at it. So this may not qualify, but let's see what happens anyway in the hand.
And one thing there, you went to 4.5 instead of your 3 there, and I'm assuming that was for value, or you just weren't thinking, because it was the same in the short stack last time you went to 3.
Yeah, and by the way, this is back when I was at 50 NL, and my standard was 4.5 no matter what, pretty much.
Right.
I've since changed to when I'm in position, it's 4, and when I'm out of position, in early position, it's 3.5. So,
Okay.
and the micro stack of 30 big blinds, ISOing to 3 instead of 4.
Right. But this was not micro. This was a 40, and so you did more of a standard size. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
So I have just a general question, just real quick. You would not use this against a studied player, right? You wouldn't Nuffle at all because a studied player is going to donk lead with either it's going to be balanced, right? It's going to be a strong draw or a nutted hand.
Absolutely. 100% correct. Yep.
So you're only using this against weak players.
That's correct. Yep. This is strictly against weak players.
And
So
then
yeah.
also, one other thing about that is one of the it's sort of self-defining, which is if we look at the board and it is not a board that should be donked on and they are donking, then there is a limit to how studied they can be, or they are on a massive exploitive view. Now we haven't looked at a board yet and said this guy is probably really good and this is a very donkable board. But for example, this is a non-donk board.
Right. You would never donk lead this.
Yeah, so this is a non-donk board. He bought in for 40. He posted, and by the way, he posted 2 before the big blind.
Hmm.
That's how impatient he was. So he's not studied.
So I don't know if I legitimately implement the strategy here because,
Too scary.
well, yeah, it's just kind of not the greatest board, short stack, so I don't remember at the time. I'm probably don't implement it, but at least not correctly because I don't know it that well.
Mhm.
So we call here. Would we just, I mean, is there any, if we were sitting here on a normal day just studying hands, we still call, right?
You would call with a queen of diamonds. Oh, you would call with a queen of diamonds more. And you could choose to fold this. You could mix your queens here against this ace, but
Yeah. And
certainly
it would
don't
be an
fold this
overfold.
one call.
It would be an overfold if we fold here.
Yeah.
They continue with a small B33 size.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. This isn't a raise here?
Well,
It's-
You
again,
don't have junk, right? You don't have junk or enough.
yeah, and again, Adrian, like I said, I don't know what the short stack strategy would be here at this moment, so I probably wasn't implementing it.
My guess is you raise him 26 big blinds.
Yeah,
That's
there's
my
some
guess.
weirdness when it comes to the short stacks. There's min raising and jamming and stuff like that. So but let's just like if we were looking at this hand in a vacuum, this is what? Just do we fold? Do we just always fold?
Against a good player, you would fold.
Hmm.
Against a good player, you would fold.
that 7 of diamonds is so bad for your for your
Yeah.
hand. All of his draws got there.
All of them, all his straights, all his flat, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's that. Okay. And he has.
A two pair, he was beating you.
Yep.
But he
So the
don't.
short,
Yeah, but it is good. That was bottom pair backdoor straight. That's all that was.
yeah, I'll verbalize the short stack strategy if you want to take a note. It is basically on the flop where when we're full stack, the air and draw and your air hands and your draw hands always call. Okay, your entire range. When you're short stack versus a small to 60% size donk, you raise the minimum and you jam the turn.
Interesting. So what do they tell you what they consider a short stack to be?
Yeah, 20 to 40 big blinds.
Okay.
So when you're short stack on the flop, you're raising the minimum versus a donk versus this player type, and then you're just jamming the turn, whatever it is.
Yep. And then versus a bigger size bet, you fold your air and your draws.
Right. And then all of your and then what do you do with and value and marginal made are the same thing?
And then you have a call down threshold that depends on your value, like
Okay.
what kind of value you have.
Okay.
In this case, if we had queens here, first of all, we would have called the flop,
Hmm.
the turn, a flush completes,
Pair completes, straight completes, all of it.
and the straight completes. You call, and then on the river, it's straight completes. You would only call down with like a middle pair or better.
And on this, it's not just a straight complete. This is a four liner.
Four liner.
Yeah.
With a function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts to get kind of complicated, like to be able to like memorize a lot of that stuff. And I don't study it that often because I don't get into the situations very often. So I kind of don't put the time into it. Okay, we ISO'd a broken stack
Mhm.
on the button. Got
Right.
called flatted on the big blind. He is not necessarily a fishy player. Like looks pretty decent, the numbers. 24, 19, 15% three bets. So he's like relatively aggressive and decent looking.
Open limping though. That's interesting.
Was it
No,
a
he's
post?
talking about the other guy. He's talking about the caller.
Yeah, the big blind calls
Oh,
here.
the big blind calls here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, can you move the
No,
screen
no,
over a bit to the
no,
right?
no,
Why?
no. I'll tell you
Why?
later. No, I'll tell you later.
Because I can't see
I
the
know. No,
left
no,
side
and I'll
of the
tell you later,
screen.
Derek. No, and I'll tell you later.
We
Bye, Derek.
discuss it here.
We'll discuss it later.
Put it in the chat. Can't see the chat.
You can't see the chat on Zoom?
No. Can't
Okay,
see
I'll put it in the chat. All right.
All right, so we got flatted in two places. Big blind's a good, seemingly decent player, and we know the limper broken stack is probably not. So Not sure I implement it here. This certainly would be a fold in any situation. I do. And we got called in two spots. Or
Yeah,
we're going to the turn multi-way.
yeah. Now we're now we're multi-way. It's a totally different world. But
Yeah.
this is
However, okay, I have no idea. Okay, I'd actually go for a small bet here and we get folds. So
yes.
that's probably a deviation and probably maybe even spew, but we're looking at the limper had 7-3 suited and the big blind flatter had pocket tens.
All right. That is a strong fold. Again helped. That's great. Okay. So the guy who donked was the 7-3, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the donk, so this was a multi and the donk was air.
The donk wasn't air. The donk was top pair.
No, the donk was 7-3,
The donk was 7
right? The donk was from the
in the big blind.
No, the donk came from the limper and it was 7-3 suited.
yeah,
Oh, okay. The big
donk was
blind.
pure air.
Oh, pure air. Yeah.
He took a shot, the 10-10 stays, and then the 10-10 realizes that you have to have an 8 or an ace to be here, because what else could you have here? And makes a tight, smart fold.
On your list, Scotty, just on a column, put the size of the bet. That was a pot size bet. The others have been about B75s or B50s.
Okay, there we go.
Can you walk back over that again, just quickly? So
Yeah. So we ISO the limper. We get flatted in the big blind, and
And
the
pop-
limper comes along. We get this flop. The limper donks into us. Pot size bet. We call, and the big blind calls. Ace. It goes check check. We go B20, and we get folds.
Nice.
nice. I'm loving this. This is amazing. So we always do this in position.
Yes,
We
because
always have
being
position on the
donked,
donker.
we
Yeah,
have,
every hand you'll see here, we'll be mission.
Okay.
Derek, have you ever used any strategy close to this live?
I'm gonna try it on Saturday and report back.
all right,
Okay.
excellent.
So I'll try it. So again, we always have position.
Yes, because
Yeah.
these are specifically against donks. Therefore,
I'm loving this. This is like amazing, Mike. Thanks very much for putting this together.
You
And
have Derek, you have your offline, I guess. Well, I'll chat it.
okay,
Pardon me?
Well, remember the stuff that we talk about offline, how the resources you have. You could do your own
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
because you have a very large database. It's old,
Yep.
but it's probably still applicable.
so this,
Yeah. I like to talk about that offline, and I'm happy to talk about that offline.
okay,
so the small blind flatter here is a short stack. He's got 34 big blinds.
Yeah.
His numbers are 9 and 0. Only like 12 hands, or 20 hands. Nothing significant.
Hmm.
Okay, so we get that flat. We flop a set.
Yay.
Donks into us B50. We call, and again, now he's got 31 bigs. You can't see it, but he's got 31 bigs here.
All right.
He goes B33, and he's got 27 bigs remaining.
So you
I
should
just
just be
raised him.
calling here, right?
Say again?
You should just be calling here, right?
Yeah, I think calling would be fine. The double flush board might give us a little bit more incentive to try to get value from their hands.
Right. And now you're playing this as you're just playing this as a logical poker hand. You're not playing this strictly.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and again, I wouldn't have known the correct strategy because he was a
Right.
short stack.
So this makes total sense. What you're doing here makes total sense. Get the SPR a little lower. He probably can't fold anything but air. And
And he did fold to the to the min raise, and he had queen nine of spades.
Oh my God.
Folded after he turned equity. Wow.
He has a straight draw. He has a combo draw.
He has a straight draw and a flush draw. Wow.
Non-believer in pot odds.
All right. So this was a ISD plus BDF on the flop. And then we were not going to make a note that he folded there. But that's because we just wanted to know what they're betting. Wow. Wow. All right.
Okay. Early position, big blind flat, another short stack. So see what happens here. They donk half pot. Here's king of spades. They go half pot again. I'm guessing I fold here.
Yeah, the flush completes and no real. Nope.
I
You
guess not.
Yeah. You're supposed to
Guess
pound this. Yeah, yeah. And he folds.
Let's see. There's going to be another shorty.
9, 7, 7, 8, 9.
Shorty ISD.
Okay. Small blind flat, only 6 hands.
But very fishy already.
Donks half pot. We call. Turns the king, he checks. The strategy would say just check behind here. And I do.
Mhm.
We get that bet. He goes half pot. And facing half pot on the river after he checks is going to be a call. Pretty much you almost call any pair you have here.
Right. Pure bluff catch. Right.
And he outpipped us.
Raise.
Queen 7 off in the small blind.
Mid pair.
So given this, what we've seen, and the strategy of the hands that they have, I would say that Jack 7 off would be a raise. You play versus that, you wouldn't want to call any 7 with a weak kicker, or even an 8 with a weak kicker, because that's what they're donk leading with.
Well,
this
maybe the
is
way to
so
look at
cool.
it is that they built this strategy around mass data.
Yeah.
So it is certainly a formula, and there's certainly places for exceptions.
Yeah, it's not going to work every hand.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, what I'm saying is logically, if 80% of, if they're not.
We don't have that, Adrian, we don't have that assumption yet. If you look at this, look at it. We have a donk. We have 2 overcards. We have mid pair, no kicker, which by the way, the jack would have beaten. We have 2 overcards. We have top pair with an 8 kicker, which we'd lose to. We have a straight draw, which we would beat. We have top pair with a king kicker, which we'd lose to. Top pair, king kicker, we'd lose to. We have bottom pair, which we would beat. We have with air. We have an inside straight draw and a backdoor flush draw, which we would beat. We have an inside straight draw. So this is not mass data. This is just an honest, but even in our minor database here, they are not congealing around middle pair with a kicker that beats us. That's why this call makes sense.
I mean, when you,
I'm total-
I mean, I think one of the fundamentals of this, and Mike can comment, is that what we're seeing is that in what I assume Fred's MDA data shows is that donks are not top of range. They
Yeah.
are middle to low. And so we can exploit that mass data analysis.
We've only seen 2 hands here that are close to what you'd call top of range. Top pair with a king kicker twice. That's all we've seen in this so far. But this is still a very small sample. So let's go on.
I'm loving this. Yeah, this is
Size of
amazing.
our very small sample.
Nice gangster ISO.
Yeah, probably a little on the loose side for me.
It's a
But-
little loose, but you have button. I like it.
It's close, I think. Short stack flat in the in the small blind. And the cutoff who limped calls a tiny donk.
Shove.
Short
Or do you
stack
call
here. probably just going to call. I'm guessing I'm just calling here.
Okay.
And now we're just playing kind of more normal poker as opposed to implementing a strategy.
Yeah, because now it's
Because we hit top pair, we just revert to normal poker. We're off the Nuffle train.
no.
Not because we hit top pair, but because we're playing against a short stack.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So we're happy to get it in here,
Sure.
obviously.
Yeah, what do you think about here? Is this just a call?
Just a call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 0 behind, so
Yeah.
we're never folding that.
Short, two OC, two big OC plus.
So this is just ace, queen, no pair, no draw.
Yep. Which is likely to be the best hand, by the way, on that board anyway, but that is what it was.
Let's see what the limper
Yeah.
was limp calling
Agreed.
with.
8-9 off.
Oh.
So what is in
Yeah, I
his
like it.
brain with that?
I like it.
shove?
I like it a lot.
It,
That's interesting.
it feels like a little bit of pot entitlement tilt from small blind.
Well, this is great for me because I've been raising donks when people donk into me.
Well,
Yeah.
So I'm going to change
instincts are
my
right.
strategy to just calling them and taking away on the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got an extra bet.
This is thanks very much for this. This is exactly what I need to learn.
Okay, this is against a player who, if I were sitting here today and saw within 18 hands, he's playing with these numbers, I wouldn't consider him a fish yet.
Can you move
So,
the
no,
numbers
can't.
so I can see
Move the
them?
window. I mean,
I
you
guess I
move
can,
the numbers. You can do that.
can move numbers. I have to go and unlock and do a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay, because the other ones are in the way. Yeah, no problem.
Let's put that
Okay.
there.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, all righty, here we go.
Thanks.
Ah,
I actually remember this hand because I reviewed it and realized how ridiculously how much EV we have. Like what our expectation here is. It's one of the most. It was one of the best flops we can have.
yeah, triple boards really are go to the uncapped player.
And this is absolutely not a thing. So
He just doesn't have top pairs or
sure, he can have top pair. He can have quads.
well quads, yeah, but he doesn't have aces and queens and jacks and
Yeah,
tens.
right.
But you have all those.
Yep.
What do you think? So he docked into us, we called, and we got here. He checks. I'm not implementing Nuffle.
Well,
Because of the
then we
unique nature of the board.
check it back.
Nuffle would say if this was a fishy player and assuming all other things are normal, this would be a B75.
Right.
Yeah, so I think
Poker
I still go
coaching is the call.
B75. I still think we push the fact that we've got all the pairs and he doesn't. Well, we've got jacks plus and he doesn't, or tens plus and he doesn't. I think I would be 70.
Yeah, I feel like I missed a bet here.
Right. But in simplified poker coaching, this would be a check back. This is a marginally made hand because you have an ace that he does, he may not, but but pocket deuces beat you, and your flush draw is not a draw here. Because
True.
if your flush draw wins, then your ace high wins.
Yeah. So now we're buff catching.
Super bluff catching.
Um, I don't know. I'm indifferent. Let's see what he had. Ah,
Oh,
Nothing,
nice sliver.
nothing, and then everything.
So
Yeah.
Jack 9 off. So one thing that we could do here, when I remember reviewing this way back when, is we should be betting this turn and just piling it in no matter what they do on the river. Because they just can't defend it unless they have quads.
Yep.
And they rarely donk their quads.
Exactly. So like if we bet B70 on the turn and he calls and then he checks the river, we just overbet. We just go pot or bigger.
Yeah.
But I missed that.
Right. And yeah. Yep. What was his size on flop there? Half pot? No,
Um,
because I didn't put it in this.
yeah, yep, half pot, pretty much.
This was B50. And just real quick, what was the size of the one before it when he did his ace queen? Tiny.
B20, B17, B15.
Yeah.
So Mike, you were making these plays.
That's B14, by the way. Yeah. Okay, B14.
Go ahead, Adrian.
You were making these plays before you knew about the Nuffle strategy, or was this you implementing a Nuffle strategy?
This was me implementing it.
Okay.
Yep.
And sometimes deviating. Sometimes just going, okay, this hand I just can't do it. Or
Really
it
good.
was a short stack and he wasn't doing short stack. So that's what's going on.
So
Yeah,
are
so I
you-
wouldn't be implementing it against short stacks, and I wouldn't be implementing it against players I think that are decent.
And this is just a full this isn't just the hand you won. This is just a sampling of hands, right?
Exactly. This is filtered just for hands where I have called a donk bet on the flop.
You're
It's
like,
the only way I could kind of specifically get the hands that we were looking for. I wanted to filter for any hands where I faced a donk bet.
So as a side note, when you at the start when you said you couldn't, I opened up Poker Tracker and kind of as we're discussing, I've messed with it and I found a way that you can set your quick filter to filter all donk bets and then see where you go from there. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but you can.
I figured there was a way, and yeah, because I tried and I just couldn't find it. So this is where we wound up.
Yeah. So
All good.
stick that.
Just
I'd love to know what that is, though.
Yeah. Stick that filter in the chat and I will put it in here and then we'll look at it and then we can look at it this week. But let's continue with this part of this subset of the database.
And as an aside, when you put that in the chat, Scotty, if you're able to multitask, filter yours, and maybe we could look at hands where we just didn't have the strategy
Okay.
outlined at the time and see what kind of differences we see.
I'm not sure how to put it in the chat.
You can copy and paste the image of it if you want. You can just do a screenshot of the image and put that there.
Yeah, and you can actually you can copy and paste this section right here. You can.
Yeah, that's all you do. Just do that.
Or I mean, if you want, I could after the session, after recording, I could with on your screen walk you through step by step what I did.
That's fine. You can do that, but did you see what he did? You see what
Yeah.
Mike did there? Just copy and paste the text itself.
You-
No, Mike,
basically-
no, Mike, no, no, Mike.
Why? Why?
No,
What?
close the
What?
window.
Okay. Oops.
All right. We'll see.
It is a nice
What were you
sunset.
freaking
though.
out over?
We'll see. We won't talk about it. We'll see.
You
Go
basically
on.
just have to switch the ands to ors.
Yeah, I know how to do that. I know how to do that.
That I got the filter for like I filtered and it shows anytime I faced a donk bet.
Right. Excellent.
Oh, cool. Okay, good. Because yeah, I would have rather had that so that I could see, any other time I deviated by raising or by folding.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a pain because you actually have to like once you have the filter, you do it as all one filter and then you highlight it, click ungroup. Once it's ungrouped, you can hit or selected and then it'll switch all the ands to ors and then you regroup it.
Yep, cool. That's it.
I'll do
Mhm.
that later. Okay.
Okay, so here we are. This is Jack 10 offsuit diamond club here. That's us over there. We raised the cutoff, flatted by a clear and no question about it, 79 and 0 over 89 hands. So we actually have Jack of diamonds, 10 of clubs. He donks pot.
Interesting.
We call. He goes pot. And we have middle second pair with the club draw. Not sure I continue. I don't. And that would be a deviation. Facing a pot size bet on the turn, we actually fold our air and draws, and we should be calling our weak value, which we
This
have.
is weak value.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Let's see what it is.
see what he had. He had two pair.
Pair. Two pair.
So you're
Pot.
supposed to fold your weak value against a pot size bet.
No,
Oh,
actually,
call.
you're supposed to call your weak value. Any pair, you call your weak value.
Yeah.
Monotone flop though, it doesn't, it doesn't say anything about what you do on monotones or two-tone or rainbows.
Mhm.
So I probably just was like, you know what? I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to implement the strategy at this point.
Yep.
We were drawing to a flush
And a jack.
or a jack. Yep.
Those aren't our real equities though, right?
The real equity would be
Seven, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
getting 33%. We were 25% to get there.
Right. And if we get there with the flush, it's going to be hard to get a lot more money. So there isn't a lot of implied odds there. Him having two pair on a four flush board. And if we get there with the jack, it's hard to get more money because he's now only got, because he's got ace, no kicker now. He gets downgraded. And if we get there with a 10, we lose.
Yeah,
So,
valid.
so we were getting, all I'm saying is our implied odds were a lot less than we thought they were.
True.
All right, broken stack flat from the small blind. Pretty loose and aggressive. Top pair. He donks B33. We call. He checks. This would be a check behind. This would be a check behind, I believe. Actually, when we have some value after a turn check and
Top pair,
facing,
weak kicker.
Okay, go on, Mike.
we actually get some value bets here.
Hmm.
Okay.
Ace
So
to-
facing the turn check, weak value, we check. I would consider this weak value.
Absolutely.
Top pair weak kicker, we can value bet, and strong value, we can value bet, obviously.
Gotcha.
So I
Okay.
guess this would be a good check back.
Yeah.
I went for thin value. And now that we got two pair with a flush completer, I think, what would we do here?
I'd say we're
In the-
off the Nuffle. So
We are off the Nuffle.
So we're just betting for value here.
Betting,
Is everybody betting for value here?
betting thin, yeah, betting small. And the check is okay. Okay, air. So this was short B33 ISD. Yep.
Yeah, I think I missed value bet there.
Somebody who donks out with a flush draw probably probably continues.
That's a good point.
Probably. If they check call a flush draw, then they probably don't. Bet out on the turn or something weird.
Okay. 10-9 off button versus big blind versus not necessarily fishy yet.
Yep.
That's decent-ish.
Mhm.
It's aggressive. Oops, sorry. Oh, he donks out on an ace king flop.
Oops.
That's pretty crazy. Not sure what I would I mean, that's not a thing, obviously.
Nope. So you therefore get to label him as fishy and implement.
Yeah, or I'm just playing my range here.
Yeah. Okay.
He checks, we go B75 and a fold. So, I mean, I think that's actually probably, I don't think I was necessarily like saying, hey, this is Nuffle. I think this is probably me going, okay, he just donked on an ace king flop. There's like no way he can have a range advantage, and I'm just going to take advantage of it later.
Right.
So this would work against just about anybody. I mean, yes, this turned out to be fishy, but I don't think I was necessarily considering him to be fishy.
We're seeing a lot of drawish hands here that are donking.
Yep.
It's ace eight off here.
Thank you.
Called in the big blind with very loose aggressive, very loose and aggressive. And that's a donkable flop.
Yes.
This one is actually legitimate donkable. And he does donk. He uses a size that wouldn't necessarily be a GTO donk size. He goes B75. And we have the ace of spades and the eight of hearts. King, he goes B75-ish, right?
Right.
B66. So this would, if we were implementing Nuffle here, this would be a raise to about 25.
Yeah.
And I just fold. Um, what do you guys think?
I think that it's a reasonable fold on that board. And here we go. This was
I mean, at least he has a draw.
B, his initial size was B50, was that right?
B70, like B75 or 66.
Yeah, we'll call it B64 into 5, B75.
He's overcompensating.
B75, and this is a FD plus SD. Okay. Straight up flush draw. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that feels like a pretty legit play there, minus the sizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the king turn, though, that's a little. I mean, he's going with it. So. All right. We'll avoid the heads up pots.
Okay, go back one thing. If you had gone pure Nuffle, you would have raised this to about 22, 23, 24, that kind of
Yep.
range.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you raised to 24. He's got an easy call. He
Yeah.
doesn't like it, but he calls. What's your river strat?
Assuming we don't get there.
Yeah.
Assuming we don't get there and he checks to us, facing a river check, our air and our draws.
Which are now air because it's the river.
Yeah. Well, yeah, our bluffs, right? I don't know. I don't see it on the chart, and I'm not sure what I would have done there.
Oh, really? So go through. So we raise.
I might just be missing it. I just might not be reading it correctly.
Okay. Take a look again because that's really
Yeah.
worth knowing.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah.
So facing a river check. Well, okay, we're off the reservation because we didn't raise the turn.
No, I'm saying when you raise the turn. I'm
Oh,
saying
when we raise the turn and get called,
you
right?
raise the turn, and because this guy's gonna call, you raise the turn with a draw, with your draws on your air here,
Yeah.
and the the river comes in. What do we do?
Yeah, we B70.
We B70 the river, great. And if we
Oh,
had
wait, that's if we miss.
right,
Yeah.
if we hit like an ace, so in this case that would be weak value
Mm-hmm.
because there's a four liner.
Middle pair and worse checks.
Okay,
And then we bet B30 on everything except our trips plus. Then we go B50.
okay. Oh, that's interesting. So we violate the Matt Affleck rule.
Yeah, we're in position betting B30s.
Okay, nice. All right.
And that I'm wondering if that's because they just get there with a weak range and we're just getting to call with a weak range.
Right. So we B30 with our weak value and we have B30s and B50s with our weak value and trips are better. Say that list again.
So after the turn call, after he calls
Yeah.
and checks the river,
Hmm.
all our bluffs are B70. Weak value, which is middle pair or worse, checks. And medium value, which is top pair, weak kicker, top pair, good kicker, B30. Your strong value, like over pairs plus, is B30. And trips plus B50.
So he's only targeting
Okay, so we
impact.
never go bigger than 50
Yeah.
Right.
So
Nope.
against that size. Okay, great. This is
you're purely targeting elastic ranges here.
yeah.
Yeah. Oops, I got to get that out of there, right?
So
What was it about that screenshot? There was nothing on there, Scotty. I wonder why you were.
The logo. The logo is on each of the hands.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I just wanted to. So in this 50 NL sample, which is 150 hands,
Yep.
Adrian, now I'm answering something in chat. Uh, just strictly dollars wise, it was 64. I'm trying to get to the big blinds per 100, and I can't do that at the moment.
All right. We'll look later.
Oh, 86 big blinds per 100.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's insane. Sounds like it looks like this is just an insane strategy.
And that's missing some of those hands because I only filtered for when I call and not when I fold or raise. Right. And it's including hands versus good players, and it's including hands with short stacks where I don't implement it. So it's probably not completely accurate.
But it's great. It's your implementation. Your implementation of it has been insanely profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I've been very
your
surprised at how successful it's been.
yeah, your implementation includes your deviations.
Yep.
Because this is McCuffle that we're doing.
Okay. We get flatted by somebody that, as of 6 hands, isn't necessarily been fishy. So we're probably just going to play this normal.
Well, that was
And
easy.
yeah, we can run pretty good too. So he donks pot.
This is interesting. So dunk pot with thick value. Yeah, I don't think we're fast playing here.
Mm.
I mean, and that makes sense, right? Because if MDA is showing us that this is low freak top of range,
Yeah.
then why do we want to dunk into a non-top of range
Why are we raising it?
donk?
So
Yeah.
if also the fact that we have the queen of clubs makes this, if you were going to raise some of your flop straights and not all of them, the one with the queen of clubs is a really good one not to.
Oh, now you're gonna talk about real poker.
Yeah.
I'm just- So yeah, so you probably, I mean, if we put this in a solver, it would probably give you lots of options, but Yeah, I calling I think is the right calling I think is the right answer.
Yeah, that's really good.
He
Now,
checks. I mean, we go for value here no matter what, whether it's Nuffle or not.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I think we have to I think at this SPR we gotta build the pot.
So this
right.
is,
And
But we're off Nuffle because there is no is
no, we're on Nuffle. This is
Yeah,
a
this
this is
okay.
this
this
would
is
technically still be in the flow chart.
so
yeah,
this
this would
would be a
be B70.
B33, right?
No, this
This would be a B70.
B70. This is the turn.
Okay, so
You're
this is
you're the
yeah,
river.
so we're gonna have to so this is strong value, so we're supposed to be 30, right?
No, that's the river, Larry.
Is it?
No, this is just
No.
straight up 70. The
We're
whole.
on the turn, and strong value in Nuffle would be a B30.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
we're on
yeah,
the
so
turn.
we face the river, pot size bet. We don't care about sizing on
Okay.
flop, right?
Yeah.
But now that we're turn, we do classify as thick value, so we're going to try to put them in with a small bet.
All right. B30. Let's go 5, 6.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this calls for a larger size bet, I think. Now in Nuffle, they want B30s because their range is weak.
Yeah.
Here, I think their range is going to be pretty darn strong.
Okay,
I would think a decent player.
Right. Let's see what you do.
I don't know what I do. I go with the B33.
B33, yeah. You should call.
all right, so you're adhering to Nuffle.
Maybe just coincidentally.
Yeah.
Maybe the B33 is the right size on this board versus this.
Okay.
Is it? I mean, that's what we're asking.
It makes
Um,
sense, right? Because you're targeting an elastic range. So B33, you want the call. Right?
Yeah, I think
Like you're
so. I
bombing.
think you're supposed to be 30 again, right? I mean, in Nuffle world.
No, this would be trips are better. Even with a paired board, this still counts as trips are better, so this would be B50.
But we faced a turn check, right?
Correct. We face his turn check.
So-
He calls.
Right.
So that means that we're using a smaller size on river because we're assuming we're looking at a more capped range.
Yeah, so
Right.
think about it strategy wise. What are you targeting? What does his range have in it?
Yeah, when he check calls,
We're
what-
targeting a jack, a 9, and an 8.
So that's a smaller bet.
Yeah.
That you want to call.
in Nuffle in Brad world.
In Nuffle world, it's a B50 now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got a turn check,
There
and
it
now
is.
we get to river. We use a 50. Okay.
Yeah. It's good.
And if he has 2 pair here, he just got counterfeited the hell out of him. So his big bet pot was top
Yeah.
pair, top kicker.
Okay.
Right. There
So
we go. There's your
it-
top of range example.
Yeah.
Top pair, top kicker, ace of clubs.
And you notice his stats. He's VP is 70, pre-flop. He's a stronger player.
Hmm.
He's a tighter player. He's stronger.
Well,
Yeah, so far.
but he's
yeah,
not
you're right.
strong because what he should be doing a lot of check raising here, I suppose.
Well, he's stronger. He's stronger than what
Yeah.
we've seen.
Yeah.
Small
Seven.
sample, though.
No, because he has six
Okay.
hands.
Well, 6 hands. Okay. Yeah. But he's not limping. He's raising every time he's coming in. I mean, he's at least a little bit better than the crap players you would
He has
think.
not shown himself to be bad except for this donk, and this donk
donk.
this
Yeah.
donk will not GTO is
Yeah.
sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's say we have king 4 of diamonds right now. Let's say our hand is king 4 of diamonds. Okay. We would call here.
Mhm.
He would check, and okay, now let's say we had, what would be our weakest cutoff hand? Like say queen 7 of diamond. Well, that's still a straight draw. I'm trying to think of our worst hand where we're
Pocket
gonna
fours.
Nuffle. We're gonna B50 here.
Pocket fours.
Pocket fours.
Pocket fours.
Okay, yeah. And we B50 or we B70 now, and he calls or folds, right?
Yeah. Interesting his fold on the river, given the second king. You would expect to get more calls on that second
Yeah.
king.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
type player.
For half pot,
Mhm.
I'd call.
Yeah, that's probably a pure call in theory.
I would call here.
So this player, he overvalues top pair, but he's not a junk player like the guys that are donk leading 8-5 and all that other.
We don't know. We don't know what he would have done with
Well,
it.
we don't. Yeah, but yeah, it's seen from that one hand.
We already did there. Yeah.
Okay, flat from the small blind. Decent, good, aggressive player. Flats in the small blind. So probably Nuffle is not going to be something that we do here. He donks B50 on this board, which I'm guessing there might be donks here. Did like a small percentage, but I think there might be.
Yeah. But you've gone Nuffle.
And now he goes like a B66. I think I do. I implement it. I go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
And we get fold.
Oh, yeah, pocket pair. He has a pocket pair. 9-jack, no pocket pair. 9-jack.
Was two medium OC
The f
and backdoor. That was what he bet out, and his size was his flop size was. I should put that in first. About half.
B50.
B50. All right.
So I would he could do that with 8, with something with an 8 in his hand in spades. I don't know why he did it with a 9.
So I'll put some thoughts in his head. First of all, let's show his hand again, just with this. All right. So this is in the small blind here. He's going purely for implied odds, right? He's going, my hand is too I'm not willing to raise this, but I'm not willing to fold it. And 9-jack, I'm assuming that this is not in GTO. The
No.
real GTO small blind flat range, which is very small, doesn't include jack 9 suited,
Mhm.
right?
It does not.
Right. It has a little jack 10 suited in it, right?
Mhm.
Jack 10 suited, yes, it does have a little bit of Jack 10 suited.
I've never studied it, but I just assumed it. Okay. So for the
Now,
same,
MTT has some jack 9 and jack 8.
who does?
MTT tournament has jack 9.
It's
I
complete.
I know, but
Yeah.
we play both. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm saying, and that might be where he got that sense
Mhm.
of it. Okay. So he's too wide here, but you can see you can see why he would do this. Jack 10 suited would do it. So how much worse is Jack 9 suited? All right.
Right.
So you get that. The answer is a lot worse, but not for him. So putting thoughts in his head. This flop comes 5-7, 5-5-7. We have very few sevens, and the only fives we have is like our ace 5 suited. But he can have more, so he's going to test us. And he's got a jack 9 to back it up. He's got a backdoor flush and a backdoor straight to back it up, but he's not strong, but he's not willing to check raise this board. And because it's only 2 cards, 5-5-7, unless we started with a pair, it's hard for us to have a pair. That's what I think his thought process is there. Now, am I giving him way too much credit? Maybe, but he had some reason to bet out. So he at least looked at the 5-5-7 and said, well, you don't have that. So he may not have thought to the level of it's ace 5 suited and 5-5, and you don't have a full frequency of, of the 5-5. You're looking at his range now.
Yep.
Looking at our range, click on our range.
After he bets?
No, pre-flop. Just look at our pre-flop range, our flopped range. There we go. Which is look at our 5x. We have king 5, and ace 5, not a lot of it. I mean, they're in full frequency there. And we have a little bit of the ace 5 offsuit, which a lot of people don't find. So kind of just goes, you don't have a lot of 5s and 7s. And I can take this away from you, and if I don't, I can get an 8, I can get a 10, I can get a jack, I can get a 9, I can get a spade. Maybe. Maybe that's his thought. All right, moving on, since we're not in his head and we don't know what he actually thinks. Because again, he could be thinking, boobs. But he certainly doesn't think that we're thinking Nuffle. That's clear.
Okay, we ISO a broken stack.
Mhm.
And this guy is clearly in the fish camp.
Yep.
Mm,
He donks less than half pot.
So we would just call.
Which we would probably do without Nuffle, probably.
Yeah, right. I think so too.
Yep.
Flush completer gives us the full house. He checks.
So we
Our
are supposed to
strong-
bet here, but yeah, I think it makes sense to bet here, but bet small.
Yep. B30 is the prescribed Nuffle strategy.
Oh,
I wound up checking behind here.
I don't hate it.
Maybe I might have seen something with this character, like being really aggressive.
yeah, for 3.0.
That would probably be the reason that might tip me over to not betting.
Okay.
That's the only reason I can think of actually. And just looking at his HUD stats, he has been like pretty aggressive. And he goes over bet.
Well
Great.
played, sir.
So I guess, results wise, it was fine, but
Okay. So pure air.
he had second pair on a paired
Oh, no,
board.
no. When he bet the when he bet the B40.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
on the flop, yeah.
That's the thing we're recording. What is his range? Pure air. And while you missed a bet on the turn, his bet on the river was much bigger than what you would have gotten, what you would have put in. So this is great.
Yeah, possibly. Yep. Yeah, because let's say I do bet here. Let's say turn I go like
Thirty.
B30.
Okay, so you bet 6. And then your
And
full value
then
on the river, you
he
bet 50,
calls, he checks, and we go B50, which would be,
15 total. You got 20.
and does he call? Maybe, maybe not. So yeah, I think that probably did get more than if we had followed it.
Even if he calls, you got more.
Yeah.
You got 15. You got 20 instead of 15 this time.
Okay. Good.
And he has to call. All right.
Okay. Ace nine, we get a flat from only 9 hands. It could reel it. So we'll give him an unknown category. This isn't quite enough, and the numbers aren't totally bad yet
Yep.
for 9 hands. It's a
That's a
dominable board,
Yeah. So
and he goes pot. And we call. He checks. B75 would be the play. I checked. And then he goes, oh, okay. Interesting. Anybody just put money in here or just calling it and being like, whatever?
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't know
weird
if I
one.
could ever fold there for one big blind.
yeah, the
No.
question is, do you raise? The question is, do you turn this into a bluff?
I mean,
Do you say he never has a flush at this size?
3, 8, all. He was very honest. I mean, he's-
So here I did not implement it, and it certainly the results would have definitely been good. So I guess maybe I'm thinking my ace high is good enough to show down.
Yeah, and you're
And
thinking for one big
Yeah.
blind, it's the same as check, check.
So he bet 1 on 5th pair. for value.
And to keep you from bluffing was his,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost one of those bets where you're
Call.
just so caught off guard and confused by it. You're like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Yeah, exactly. Here's an example of where I didn't implement it and it kind of bit me in the ass.
One other thing I would say about that river there, which is I think that your choice between calling and folding, when you're making that choice, I think your choice to call here is completely reasonable.
Yeah, I was definitely never going to fold it, but I'm certain, I mean, I don't remember the hand, but I'm certain I was considering just making it like 16 or something.
Yeah. There are lots of reasons to think that the raise is better than the call, but I don't think the call is unheard of. Yeah. Okay. Now is it river blunder theorem that you have to be bluffing there every time? I don't think so. Okay.
On him,
Yeah, I don't think so.
it would be river blunder theorem if he doesn't bet there, yeah.
Okay.
Well, he has a pair though, so
Yeah.
all right. So we get flatted in the small blind, his second hand of the table for this guy. He donks half pot. We call. He checks. This would be a B70. And he calls. Okay, now we have value, right?
Mm-hmm.
He checks. In Nuffle, this would be a B50. I mean, we don't have the nuts, but
B30. This is not this is middle pair.
would you consider this medium value?
I would consider this middle pair, which is a B hold on, middle pair is check.
Middle
Against
pair.
check.
Yeah, weak value is check.
Right. This is
Medium value is 30.
right. This is medium value at best. At best.
I think this is borderline because
Okay,
think about all the pairs that he can call with.
Yeah, he can have all the under pairs. And does he stop? And yep, yeah, you're right. Does he stop with a king? No, you're going to get check raised there. Yeah, you can bet. I'm wrong. You can definitely bet this for value.
I went with the B50 size and got called
Right.
and
Evans.
ace high.
Nothing.
He's high.
Burger. Yahtzee.
So this was one ace. That was what he had. Ace and a backdoor straight.
Nothing.
Gets the golden player tag.
Yeah. Check bet call on the turn. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
We have 10-7 off here.
Okay.
This is an expansion. This would be out of range for me. And the only reason I would open it is if I thought these two players were tight and or very fishy.
Right.
And it's the third hand at the table for either of them. So they're unknowns. And we have a broken stack. So maybe that pushes me into expanding it when probably should just fold it. Thoughts? Anybody else on
Yes.
board or?
This is a good raise later in the game after you have a fold to steal percentage on these guys.
I I'm always in a hurry to jump in to play with the bad players because their money evaporates so quickly that you need to get there before they go broke.
That's true too.
So I don't fault Mike for
Yep.
jumping in here.
We
B
get the
B40.
yeah
Okay.
B40.
So you,
Definitely implementation. The implementation has started.
Yeah, or else you wouldn't be there. Yep.
Yeah. And he checks. This would be a B70 at this
Right.
point. We do. And we get a fold. Okay.
And he had middle pair.
middle pair. And bets into an ace.
That's a common theme I think we're seeing. They want to see where they're at, right? This is the classic, let's see where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell them you're no good.
Yep. We have ace 10 off here, ace of diamonds, 10 of clubs. And we get a flat from a very tight player. 34 hands has been very, very tight
Yeah.
in those 34 hands.
However, he does have a aggression factor of infinite.
Yeah, but he's played. That's only the hands he's played him.
I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, he does have an infinite aggression factor. You're right.
So
Um,
we have the ace of diamonds, 10 of clubs, if you can't see it.
Yep.
Okay.
Donk, we call probably in any mode we're in. Turn two pair. He donks B33.
So we gotta raise this, right? Need strong value.
Flush completer, straight completer.
But the ace is out there.
I mean,
Get
I
rid
will
of
say
king of spades.
generally Nuffle, with my very rudimentary understanding, generally Nuffle is blind to texture, right?
Yeah, there's not a lot of texture. It's hand class. Medium
Yeah.
value would call, which is top pair, top kicker, top pair, good kicker. Strong value, which are over pairs plus.
Yeah.
Um,
Hole on this board that yeah, and when you go strong value, that's where you can adjust it a little bit and say that two pair on this board becomes medium value.
Yeah, maybe we, actually do become somewhat aware of texture here. Although but we didn't, maybe do we have to couple that with understanding the sizing doesn't point towards thick value?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can go both ways here.
I would interpret it this way, that the list of values that the important thing is how is how it's described. Strong value and weak value. And then you say, what is weak value? Well, weak value is typically second pair. Strong value is top pair and better. But on this board, two pair is weak value. That the list wasn't what the list was examples of, not definition of.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Well,
my-
yeah, I mean, the interesting part to me in that is that the strategy's oblivious to texture. But, we're here studying, we are sophisticated poker
Yeah.
players. And so it makes sense that
Uh-huh.
we are listening to texture as well as bet size.
So what was his bet? What was his bet on the flop on that one? Was it B33? I
It
didn't.
was like, wasn't it like the B40, like a weird size? Was it, no, it was B50.
B50 on this. Okay, got it. B50.
None of downsize.
Right.
And then also take consideration, he is tight over a small sample.
Yeah, that certainly doesn't look like a flush or a straight.
So in Nuffle land, we would need to delineate here. If this is, we consider this medium value, we call. If it's considered strong value, we raise 3 times his bet here. And if
Right.
it's like really strong, like top of like you're nutted, you go 4 times.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this is weak value. But if you went for 9-9, if you went for a raise, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
You agree? Okay, great.
And then okay, so now we've got to value. Right?
Yeah, now we have strong value.
Yeah. Weak value would check behind here.
Right.
Medium value goes B30, and strong value actually only goes B30 as well.
Yeah, it feels like strong value at this point.
Because he bet the turn. Yeah. So this is strong value. And
So this is an oversizing.
Yep.
We're following the charts.
And the loser had.
Queen nine.
Okay, so it didn't matter. We could have bet smaller and he still would have
Yeah,
folded.
this was
A gut
straight
shot.
draw, straight draw BDFF, backdoor flush draw, B50. The ace comes and he wants to get there cheap. His small bet is to get there cheap. You raise him on the ace, he folds anyway. So you don't make any more money with a raise on the turn here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We have ace 8 of diamonds.
Good for us.
And we're going multi-way on this one versus, yeah, the broken stack. I would probably punch him into the fish bucket. And then we have pretty loose and aggressive player here in the big blind.
I'm sorry, I missed it. The internet cut out. What's our holding?
Ace-8 of diamonds.
Okay, thank you.
And we get a donk from the big blind, the loose and aggressive player. And we have second pair on a monotone board.
So we always call, right?
Yeah, assuming we classify this guy as a fish.
He feels really fishy.
Yeah, against someone we don't classify as a fish, this is a very good fold.
Yeah, I would probably fold this. Let's see. And I continue, and we get it going multi-way into turn. This probably just makes things easy.
Joey, where are you?
We get checked too.
Yeah, so we're off Nuffle multi-way. Like, this is a very interesting spot. I think that we probably check back.
I check back.
Yeah, it's got to be a check back, right?
Yeah, I like
I'm
a
not
check
totally
back.
happy with saying check back, but it does, I mean, essentially it doesn't make sense to turn our marginal value into a bluff multi-way thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And not
Yeah.
until we get a check, not until we get two more checks here, do we want to think about trying to get a queen to fold here.
And if
Yeah.
you remember, go back to where our last multi-way hands where we had 10-9 and we did bet the turn, but it was pure bluff. We were like pure air there. We didn't have anything.
Yeah.
This one we have a pair.
Yeah.
So here we are. It did get checked to us. I think. Are we bluffing?
We have to
Consider
get-
this a bluff or just thin value. This is
No, this is a bluff. This is a bluff. You're trying to get the queen to fold.
Who has which position has the queen?
Either one of them. Either one of them could play a queen this way.
Jacks, nines.
So I think the donk leader has a weak 8 or a weak 6, and the caller has probably an ace of clubs with nothing else.
Then we don't need to bluff.
This feels very thin.
It's very thin. Only person you'd be targeting would be the donk lead guy with whatever 8 or 6 he has. Since
So yeah, I think we're getting into the world of turning our middle pair into a bluff, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I don't multi-way, who
he
knows?
does have a queen. Wow.
Yeah.
Insane.
You would be trying to get a queen to fold here.
Yeah.
And your line doesn't scream of you having a flush.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ace of clubs, 8. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so this was mid pair.
Huh.
Nut straight.
Yeah, queen jack. I guess he just calls.
Multi-way B50.
Yeah. Although the one thing about the Joey thing here is you don't know two people are interested when you have to make this call.
Hmm.
So Joey doesn't have an answer for you yet.
Right.
He'll have all the answers once he's done with Divinity School.
Yes.
This guy is a broken stack with 41 bigs over here.
Okay.
Ace deuce is not typically an open for me, so I had some kind of reason. This guy is super loose, super aggressive. I think I should just fold that ace deuce.
No, you want to get it in hands with this villain, right?
I don't know.
I have a little video that might be interesting about button RFI ranges and how they change
Like
once we
ace
load
deuce is
lock
not
but
good
the
enough.
blinds.
Ace deuce is not normally good enough, but against a bad player, oh,
Really close.
Yeah,
and
against
position.
a really aggressive player, though.
Carrot Corner says that ace deuce is definitely good enough on the button, and to not be doing it even against good players is, even against players as good as us, not against great players, but against all of our opponents that we're leaving money on the table by not opening ace deuce on the button. And his reason is, of course, they're going to under realize out of the big blind, but they're going to under realize even more than theory says.
So we're first.
And ace deuce profitable. That's his argument.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So ace deuce is good.
I'd agree. If you're playing Phil Ivey, don't do this. But
Right.
everyone else,
But if you're playing us, his thing is, if you're playing against us, ace deuce offsuit is profitable on the button.
Yeah, so that's reinforced a little bit by what is at the beginning of the YouTube video I put in here.
Okay, so we do get it with the broken stack with 40 big blinds. Oops, sorry. Go here. And we have bottom pair. He donks one big blind.
There we always call.
He goes B50 now.
So it's time.
And our weak value against this is always just a call here. I would almost think this could be
I think
raised as a bluff, as air.
I think this is there.
But if I follow it, I will just call.
Okay.
We call.
Great.
And now we get check to our weak value. We should check behind, which this certainly qualifies as weak value, right?
Almost air.
Yeah, that's the thing. All right. So you decide it's air.
I did.
Yeah.
And we got called.
We have a 9 or a jack.
He has two pair, 10 deuce.
10 deuce.
10 deuce off.
Oh my goodness.
It's impressive.
So bottom pair,
You really want to play with that guy.
bottom pair, backdoor straight draw.
Yeah, he's going to give it back. He's giving it all back.
yep,
He's going to give it all back.
that's why you want to get in hands with this guy.
And what was his size on the flop there? I had stepped out of the room.
One. It was B20.
B20.
Less than B20.
Okay. B1 big blind.
Where am I at? Does he have anything better than my deuce? He'll raise me.
But by the turn, nothing works. Unfortunately, in this one case. And so be it.
If we follow Nuffle here and check behind, we
Lose
save
luck.
12 big blinds.
Yep.
Right, we are in hijack, jack 10, and we get flatted by 3 hands. So unknown. He donks B50, little bit more than B50.
Okay.
We call.
B55.
He checks, and we go for the B70, and he calls. And now he donks river. So facing a river donk, we're kind
Sir,
of
you are
off.
not following our script.
Yeah. Yeah.
I generally overfold in this situation. I mean, obviously, I don't, yeah. Number one, I was a little nervous because he does, in theory, have more sixes. Then I was even more nervous when we had a turn completer. I think we overfold to this. I mean, I should say, obviously, we have no value. I would say we don't bluff this.
Don't bluff it.
No.
Anybody else on board with just letting it go? And
Yeah.
Is he trying? Okay.
Ooh.
That, if
Okay.
you read that as he's trying to get a cheap river, you've just said no.
The king is in your range. He calls king 8. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Beats other king.
I mean, if he does not have a king, then that probably works.
so, but his hand, I was wrong with my concerns. His hand does fit right into the Nuffle archetype. Let's say that stereotype.
But he calls. In your range,
I would say he's probably inelastic. I like even if we jam, he calls. Like no matter the size. Do you think he just calls because I have his two pair?
Yes. I don't think he's folding two pair after.
He's
Yeah,
beating ace king and he's losing to your aces and your six and your full houses. That's a lot of things to beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Larry. Good job on the snuffing him out. Okay, he has he's got started with 90 bigs, and he is 80-7 over 16 hands.
Woohoo!
We can
McCuffle.
definitely follow pot size donk.
Pot.
We call. We do have a gutter, and then he goes tiny.
So we have airs, so we go 19.
That was a little smaller than it should be.
Yep.
There was a call, and he has 69 remaining, and he does that. Larry, are we in the same kind of spot?
Oh God. Do we like having the four?
Say again.
Do we like having the four? We're not blocking, we're blocking 7-4.
Feels kind of irrelevant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I generally think that these, after we used Nuffle on turn, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And then he says, I don't care. I think generally we overfold. One time.
So here's the one thing about your
Nice.
bluff before we see it that I do really like. Your bluff really fits the story
Yeah, it does better than the other one.
better than the other one. This is a really good story you've told.
He has pocket nines.
Nice.
So
His sizing does kind of, I mean, his donk is dumb. His check raise would have been better and would have worked.
mhm,
So he donked his overpair,
right.
sees an overcard, and goes small.
We raise that overcard.
Still not giving up on it yet, though.
He wants to get
Maybe.
small. He wants to keep you from bluffing.
Mm-hmm.
So you bluff.
Yeah, yeah. Good
Yep.
read,
That,
Scotty.
that made up for that made up for your loss on the previous hand, by the way.
We do have a good narrative here, don't we?
Yeah. That story really fits.
First principles. Can you believe our story?
Broken stack flat.
Mhm.
And okay, broken stack folds in the big blind. Okay, so here we are. We have second pair. We get donked, pot size donk. We call. Checked. Weak value, medium value, or strong
I'd say
value.
weak value.
Yeah.
I'd say medium value.
Okay. I can be
If that's the
convinced this is
case, and the
medium.
reason I ask is because weak value will check behind here.
This is medium
So
value.
pocket tens, pocket nines,
This is medium value.
ace jack, top pair, second kicker on that paired board, medium value, bet 30, B30.
Yeah.
I took the check line.
Okay.
He checks again.
Now it's definite value. Until you get raised, this is value.
And would you call it medium value? I'd call it medium value. If it is,
Is
it's
weak value
B30.
medium value, and strong value? This is
Yeah.
medium. Yeah, this is medium value.
Okay, I agree.
Strong
Weak value
is
weak
raised.
value would check. Let's say we have pocket eights.
Yeah, that's weak value.
What about ace king?
That's weak value at best.
At best?
Yeah. What do you do with air? Do you bluff air?
Did we get here with air? Because we didn't bet the turn, so we don't have that node.
Okay, then we don't have, then ace king is a draw. We didn't get here that way. So you bet 50 and we now think this should be 30. Okay. And so pure air, so air
Who's going?
with a backdoor, with a bad backdoor flush draw. That's what bet there. Bad backdoor flush draw.
What
bad
is this? Say
backdoor
again. Say again.
flush draw. His bet was air with a bad backdoor flush draw and a bad backdoor straight draw. And that was pot.
Never heard of you.
There we go. Yeah. And right, and
Okay.
the turn went check, check because we called it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, whether I considered it weak or medium, I don't know, but I decided to check behind there.
Okay.
I think, and now that we're doing it, we all kind of considered it medium value, right?
Yeah.
And medium value would bet, and weak value would check.
Right. So the turn, so on the versus, so versus a check on the turn, let me just put that in now. Versus a check on turn, air and draws go 70, right?
Mm-hmm.
Air and draws go 70. O turn, on turn, air and draws go 70, weak value goes 30. No, weak value
No, weak value would check,
check, right? And strong value,
and medium and strong value both go 30.
okay. Go 30. Okay. And so this would have been a 30 on the turn and he would have folded.
Yeah, you would have folded.
Same.
Now, what I'm wondering if we think about, so his donk was a pot-sized donk, right? And then we get to the turn here. Does that, because it was a pot-sized donk, like we were kind of debating, is this considered weak or medium value? And maybe if it was just a, B33 donk, now this bumps this up in value.
So
Yeah, I
that
see your point.
the answer to that is, do you think, given what we've seen statistically, does he have any queens in his range? If he doesn't have any queens in his range, it's strong value hand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would argue that, yeah, it's hard to see a broken stack donker to act anything but more linear with his queen X. And certainly there's going to be some trickiness out there. There's no absolutes. But yeah, I would put this in medium value and it'd be 30.
Okay. Cutoff versus small blind, started with 90 bigs, and he is 15 hands in, 7-0. 7-0. Oh, we get a multi-way here versus probably a fishy player, but only 6 hands. Still not enough to really determine yet. Flop bottom pair, it goes donk, call.
Go
So
away.
we're off
We're on
Fred
Joey.
Wilson world here.
We're on Joey.
We're in Joey world.
Fold.
This
No,
is
this is still like it still considers multi-way, and there is a caveat when we go multi-way that if the donk is pot size multi-way, that tends to be top pair plus
Yeah,
in the mass data analysis.
Right.
more defensive. Yeah.
So we discount the donker here, but the call there, after a donk and a call, we know what Joey says here, and I agree with him on this hand. And what does McCuffle say?
McCuffle says follow McCuffle.
Okay, in that case, then we're calling. We're calling range. I hate that.
all right. Now we can get away.
Not
Maybe we
according
can't.
according to McCuffle, we now have we have weak value showdowny kind of thing. And
Yep.
so,
Can you go over the Joey thing?
yes, I'll go over Joey after we finish this hand.
Okay.
Abort.
So this is, what is this, a B50?
Yeah.
Even less?
E-
So our weak value facing this size bet will call, like basically any pair.
Yep.
And I folded.
And I think that's a good fold.
It had king jack.
King jack.
Yeah.
It seems like what you got, like what you guys were saying earlier, when there's two players in, more than one player, when there's three players in, maybe the donk is more defensive with a top pair than when it's just heads up. And it's junk.
Could be.
All right. Someone other than me, Mike, or Larry want to explain the wisdom of Joey.
If there's more than one player in the hand, top pair at the end of the hand is normally not good.
Okay, that's close. I'm gonna modify it. So we're always talking multi-way. The Joey is always multi-way, and it's if two people other than you are interested in the hand. That's so it's close to what you said. It's just that because when you say more than one player in the hand, you might be counting yourself. So yeah, two players.
So if you
If there's more than one opponent, there's multiple.
Thank you. Yep, that's the only one to change. Yep.
so top pair, top kicker is not good enough.
The way Joey says it is if he says aces aren't good enough. Is if
Yeah.
two players are interested in the hand, a single pair is rarely going to win.
Okay.
Other than you. Doesn't mean you're beat now. Just means by the river,
You're gonna lose.
you're gonna lose. Because you're up against one of them has a pair, the other has a draw. The guy with the pair has 5 outs against you. The guy with the draw has his 8 outs against you or something like that. And that's 13 outs against you. Now you're 50-50 to get there. And that's in that scenario. Sometimes you're beat already. With all that, you just don't win enough is Joey's theory. So Joey sometimes is advising us to lay down aces on the flop. Many of us go, well, not on the flop, but on the turn, if two people are still interested, we're laying down we're laying down pairs, top pairs, and maybe you should be laying down over pairs. If you listen to Joey, you'll lay down your over pairs. And and we have this note right there. Oh, you're not seeing my screen. Sorry, you guys. If you're looking on Twitch, you will now see a giant red Mike, Joey, and Andy on a hand that I played wrong.
I remember that.
Yeah. So there you go. Back to McCuffle.
So
Thank you very
we
much.
got donked into by this player in the big blind. Pretty fishy numbers now. Getting into the fish bucket.
Yep. P40. Okay.
Nuffle and probably anything else probably says just call here.
Yep. I like it.
And this is a B50. A little less, like a click less. Nuffle says call.
Yep.
So if we were just studying this hand in a vacuum, are we calling?
Yes. Or kicker
Yeah.
play.
Right? I think so, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's dangerous. The kings, yeah.
You got it right. And so
Kind of works in reverse on that one. That's why I say it's very easy using the Nuffle strategy to assume he's on a weak king.
middle pair.
Yeah, so that second king is
Okay. Yep. Yeah, but we're calling that.
Short stack, unknown, donks, B50.
Without Nuffle, here's where you fold your 6s without a club.
Yeah.
And then with a club, you decide, but you fold them without a club.
Nuffle is call, right?
This is Nuffle. Yeah, call everything.
Facing a B70 size weak value, which is any pair, is a call.
Yeah.
Okay, that was, and on the flop, that was, he did just under pot. I mean, just under half pot. It was like B40-ish.
So you consider that weak value? Well, yeah, it was weak value. Okay.
2.62. Yeah, this is basically beef.
Yeah, B50.
B50 with the, this is B50 with the rake. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nuffle would say call here.
Okay. And let's see what he had.
He had ace. He had ace deuce. He had top pair.
Tap pair, no kicker.
Top pair, weak kicker.
Top pair, no
No
kicker.
kicker.
No kicker. B50.
Oh, we got two limpers, short stacker, and this guy has a full stack. And they're unknowns.
Mhm.
We can't fold and we shouldn't call. Good choice.
We get called in both spots.
All right.
Donks B50.
So-
Now we're getting into, yeah.
So not to interrupt, but in Nuffle World, this is a call, right?
No,
Yep.
this is a raise.
A raise on the flop.
Yep.
Oh, because he's short.
No,
Oh,
well, he's not short enough. This is a raise. We have air. We have air. We have a draw. We have air.
but we're on flop.
Wrong
I
flop.
thought on flop we call on flop and we raise draw.
My
nail, and-
bad. I'm so sorry. You're right. Yeah, this is a call on the flop. Yep.
No worries, man. We've only been making you talk for 2.5 hours.
All right. Amateur.
So we do call and we hit top pair.
Boom.
That's nice.
All right.
Get the rest in.
Yeah, I
He's all in.
Yeah.
don't think we get away, right?
We don't get
Strong
well-
value. Stick it
We're
in.
shoving it all in.
Yeah.
Airish air. The airest of all air.
My
He
goodness.
calls. He calls.
calls.
He can't lay down his
Wow.
king.
What?
He has a
Well, now-
king. Why would he fold a king?
Can we talk about why people go to this in their head?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to look stupid because they raised with nothing, so they shove the rest in.
Well, this it's online and it's anonymous. But I mean, you could be right.
I feel
Did
weird.
I mean, what goes? I mean, we all see this rarely. I'm just curious. Is this just pure degen? Is this just a pure effort?
It's
The
gotta
pot's
be.
big. The pot's big. I have 6 outs.
Yeah.
Either
No, this
that
is
or it's a
gamble.
shiny helmet special.
This is like, this is
Look-
like, this is just a gamble. They're getting on their gamble.
Yep.
Also,
They
but
It's a lot
spend
of
that
money. I
little
just
bit
got a
that
hit
ball.
of
Larry,
adrenaline.
no, look at it. He needs 15%. He's getting 14%. He
Oh,
is
I misread the pot
that-
odds. What are the pot odds here?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're right.
This is on the river, right? When we
Yeah,
raise
you're right. You're right. You're right. He's got odds.
so little money left. It's so that's the thought. He may not be looking at the numbers, but the thought is the pot is really big. I've got 2 overcards.
Yeah.
The
I-
pot's really big.
So this kind of begs a question. Should we just have just called here? Because I mean, most people they'll fold this king jack, right? I mean, see, when we get to this point and we see, okay, well, we can raise, he's just gonna call with whatever he has, no matter what. Well, sometimes they won't though.
No.
But
Right?
but if he has Jack Queen here, you folded out a ton of equity. If he has King Queen, the only hands that really you benefit from folds, I mean that you don't benefit from folds here, are going to be Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace Jack, of course Ace 9. You know, Ace. Yeah, I mean Ace 9 is a great hand here to call you. But of the 2 overcard hands, as if they don't have an ace, you're denying them real equity. Because it's not that big a mistake. And now you're forcing either way. If he folds out a lot of equity, and that's good for you. And if he calls without enough equity to do it. And that's good for you, but not as much. His fold here is better for you than a call.
Yeah.
It's a bigger mistake. Is that true?
His fold is a bigger mistake.
Not for him, for you. Let's think this through here. He's losing 1% of the pot. When he makes this call, he loses 1% of the pot on
Yeah,
average.
but Scotty, think about his total range though. Yeah, it gets this hand or queen jack or
Yeah.
but now he can also have something like pocket nines or sevens or
Yeah.
deuces.
They have less equity, but they have some. And you're assuming that you're going to get a bet from them on the river. Excuse me.
Well, we're adding in the variable that they could spaz on the river or, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I get that, okay, we're going to deny the equity here if he folds, right? And that's not a bad thing for us with this particular hand. If he folds ace nine, that would be bad for us. If he folds ace X, if he has ace eight. So yeah, I'm just interested in if that's a thing, because I think we get to these spots a lot and we see, oh, he doesn't have anything left. He's just going to call anything. Like if I have a set of tens here,
Mm-hmm.
let's say I have pocket tens and he does this. I mean, that makes it very clear we can just call.
Yeah.
I mean, instinctively, you would think in position just call, but not according to this strategy. You should be popping.
Yeah. We think of this as he's got to be pot committed, right?
Right.
And with the same hand with pocket aces in two different hands. One I said, well, maybe the guy does get away from it, so I will not raise him here. And then the other one, this is in my database that will come up when we look at it. I go, okay, this is the one where he can't fold here. And he folded in the one where he can't fold it, and I didn't get any extra value. And in the one where I called, he got there. But he would have called in that one. So this is my way of saying I'm unsure of when they really are in their mind pot committed.
Because let's say we just call here and we're risking that 15% against this particular hand, and it comes the deuce of clubs.
Does he continue?
He can check and fold, and then
Yeah.
it's the same as if he had folded the turn, or he can spaz,
Which is good.
or
Or he can do the thing he did there, which is call us, which is great.
So mathematically, what you're saying is by a shove, you risk losing 20 bigs there, right? So it's 120 120 plus denied equity versus a call for possibly 140 if he decides to bet on the river. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, kind of. Like we lose the ability for him to put in money when he's bluffing.
Right.
We lose
But what you're
that.
also gaining is the denied equity. So you're taking 120 instead of, risking that final card that might take 140 from you.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I call that air, but it's actually air 2OC. He did have two overcards.
you had an overcard too.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying what he had when he bet it was two overcards, and they were king jack. There we go.
These numbers are kind of normal for the typical kind of shitty reg kind of person. He's not been terrible, but you can tell he's not super. I don't know.
The 80 is impressive.
The fold to 3-bet?
Oh, fold the 3-bet. I thought that was his 3-bet. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I just looked through it. His 3-bet of 8. Yeah, this is just, yep, this is just right there.
Kind of standard, like,
Yep.
I don't know, tight, not super aggressive.
Mhm.
He donks.
That's what,
B5.
dunks on a non-dunk board. I don't think a 10 high board, 10 small is a dunk board.
It is not.
Okay, thank you. So,
Nuffle says call. This I could get behind like a raise here, but
yeah, you've also got a real draw here.
yeah.
So you definitely shouldn't fold in any world.
And he down bets.
So we know what to do.
You do. This should be a
Down what I like, but
18,
giving our statistical analysis, that
Eight.
second pair is dangerous for this scenario.
Yep, but we're still going 18.
Yeah.
You got a formula.
We're doing it.
One time.
Oh,
Do it.
Hmm.
Oh.
What is the theorem? There's like somebody that has
Yeah, I was looking it up the other day.
is it Zebo
It's Zebo, I think.
where you don't try to get people to fold full houses?
Yeah, any full house,
Yeah,
even the 4.
but we should be betting B70 here.
Right. Let's go.
He folds. Does he fold? What does he do?
This was an overbet.
Yeah,
This
Yeah,
wasn't B70.
you decided I definitely want you to fold a full house.
Fold. What does he have? And not, he
Yeah.
has a 10.
Yeah, the unfoldable full house.
Yeah. So I mean, again, using what we've seen statistically, it's second pair, third pair, or a very weak top pair, right?
We've seen a couple top kickers, but not a lot. But that's
Not a lot,
Can we
yeah.
go through this hand again? I'm just curious what. Here, I'm curious what your equity is. Would you mind, oh, we can see it. Okay, 22%. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only alteration I would make to the strategy is when you see that second pair. I mean, I would slow down.
When you see the,
second pair.
The board pair.
okay, board,
And it's the
the
second one.
repeat 5.
Yeah, I would slow down right there. I'd slow it out.
Okay.
That's right in his range for his donk lead.
Yep.
Trappy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have hands that can beat him. Like I have aces, kings, queens, jacks.
Yeah, I mean, you do definitely get to push
5.
your big pair advantage in.
He doesn't think you have those hands, by the way. He thinks all those hands raised him on the flop.
Right. Yep.
I'm not saying they did. I'm saying that's what he thinks. So this makes this call even easier because he doesn't care about his kicker now. That becomes an easy call.
Okay, small blind flat. Loose and aggressive over a lot of hands. This has got back raised Betty stats written all over her. Not that it applies to this hand, but this is the kind of player that I see pretty frequently that's doing stuff like that. Anyway, here we go. They donk one big blind, which I'm sure was highly just like what the F coming from this player.
Yeah.
Make it 2.
I
And
think
I may not implement Nuffle here. Like I may just raise here.
you might just go, you don't get one
just
big blind.
call.
Oh, full on Nuffle.
Run Nuffle, just call.
Hmm.
No, this is dangerous right here. But it's probably is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And he folds. Yeah.
Add,
10.
2OC back. Oh, and you denied him back. You denied him equity. A
Wow.
lot of equity.
Huh.
Picked up good equity and decided to fold.
Yeah. Okay. So this is 2OC.
Mhm.
So
BD.
you're offering him 28%. He's got 25% equity is the way I read this.
Yeah, against my specific hand, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a misclick, the flop.
Mhm.
Well, we have enough hands. Click on his bring up his passive. Just click anywhere in there. Oh, you may not with the custom, you might not have.
He's talking about where we get the full on. We get,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Normally,
the full report.
normally it opens. It's not opening for some reason.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it's not opening.
Oh, for sure it does it in the replayer. So
yeah, it's just
There we
broken. There it is.
there it goes. Now if you click on flop, what's his donk rate look like? We can see if that was a mistake or not. Oh, he's donking a lot of hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eight,
he's a
12.
serial donker.
Yeah.
I pull that up in game a lot.
Really? Yeah, I've
versus
never
donk
looked at
back.
that.
What site to use?
See, and that's how I formulate my strategy. I mean, obviously, I'm going to start incorporating Nuffle more, but I pull this specific screen up a lot in game really quick to see what kind of how often they're donking, and I formulate my strategy from there
And-
personally.
Andy, don't answer Larry's question. If you want to answer Larry's question, type it in the chat,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
just in case.
Oh, goodness.
I know.
What was the question?
Oh, wait a minute. This shows we're recording my screen. So all this stuff in the chat shows on, oh God, that did not help at all. I gotta close my chat now to answer. So everything in the chat showed up. Oh, well. We'll see what happens. Oh, even that's gonna show up, Larry, when he gives his answer.
Oh, oh my goodness. I hate
I hate everything.
YOUTUPE.
I hate everything. Yeah. All right.
All right, so we've got a clear ISO.
Yeah.
You're downsizing because the broken stack.
Yes.
And we fought quite well. And we always call on flop. And
Weird.
only the nuts.
Hmm.
So thick, this is super thick value on the turn, and so we don't, why do we check the nuts on the turn?
I think because of the SPR.
I mean, yeah, he's got a pot-sized bet left.
Okay, so let's just get it in on the river when there's a chance. We give up money from a flush draw by doing this.
Yeah, and I've been trying to untrain myself from slow playing, and I say that and it works. But unless he has a boat, which is
Hmm.
doubtful.
Yeah, you just call. There's no reason to raise him here.
Why aren't we going for the last 7 bigs?
Why aren't we? Because
Nuts or nothing?
because when he has an ace, we split.
Okay,
And that's a lot of his range is the ace, and the rest of his range is the full houses and the air doesn't call us.
okay, gotcha.
Well, this was he donked with 2 pair. There's a non-donkable board, but he did have 2 pair here.
And this is
Wow.
50%, donk 50,
Yeah, he donked with 2 pair.
50. And this was 2 pair,
Yeah.
bottom 2 pair.
So this is actually.
That's it. There's some real value.
Mhm.
And you screwed him on the turn, and he screwed you on the river. You bet.
What can you show his hand? Instead of being, I'm gonna be lazy and just ask you to show equity. Yeah. So that's 6 out.
You should have 4 outs to the nuts and 3 outs to a split.
Well, the last time we saw 2 pair, was he guarding again? Was the board a flush draw board?
Yeah. Yeah, he had ace-3 on a monotone board and 2 pair.
Yeah, it seems like that seems to be a pattern. Whenever they're strong, when they're defending something, when they're defending against a flush or something, maybe they'll donk lead the 2 pair.
Yeah.
Do we not like this check behind here?
I
I
think you put him in.
I think you'd be 30.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think he calls, but I think you put him in.
If he calls, then I think you just go all in, right? $20.
I would have put him all in. I would have just bet 20 right here. Bet pot.
I would have be 30.
Yeah.
Trying to eke out value.
Mm.
I sewed a limper. Pot size donk.
No.
Draw air.
Nine,
70.
70. He's on
Nice. What did he have?
6.
Yeah, good. Well played.
Pure air.
Well,
Oh, 5-6.
And a 6.
Mid pair.
6, and he's guarding against this flush draw right here.
Okay, big blind. 15 hands. Been okay. Started with 90 bigs. Donks. This probably has some donks on it, but not to that size. Good value.
top pair kicker, paired board. Interesting spot. Now, in the oblivious world to texture, we should raise this, right? Or no,
No.
this is just
Yeah, medium value is top
top
pair.
pair with kicker. Okay, this is just a call.
We wouldn't start raising without overpairs or trips.
Over pairs
Or two
plus, right?
Overpairs. Yeah, overpairs and two pair gets you a smaller size raise, and trips plus gets you a 4x size raise.
Gotcha.
So this would be call, right?
I don't think you're allowed to call here. You can use any size you want for it. Well, I'd go to like 45 bigs.
And then do you fold to a jam? If you go to
That
40,
was that was the question I was asking in my head, and I think you play quads. What do you think? You can't call it. Okay. What do you think?
Yeah.
I censored myself because I don't know if it's a straight thing to call it.
Yeah, I can't imagine I just call.
that's true.
But what size?
I like 45 big winners, but Scotty's making a very good point. All of a sudden, if we do 45 and he shoves on us, then
You call
our
him.
pot odds would get kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't.
Okay. These blocks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we just.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to think that
I like the raise.
modifying your game because of quads is monsters under the bed?
But you probably lose more than you gain.
Wait, when you think you have to think about what calls, you have to have a target calling range for your raise that isn't
Yes.
that you're not chopping with. And so here you're aiming for the underpairs to the king. So when you bet 45, that's the problem is that doesn't that shut out those underpairs?
Yeah, it feels a little greedy.
Yeah.
I see your point.
Yeah. Okay, question. So this was an overpair. Overpair on paired board. And what was his size? Because I was
Pot.
doing some. That was pot. Okay.
We saw that before with they had nines, right? Nines with a overpair.
Yeah. Yep. Now, and then I wanted to ask, you said this, but I didn't put it in the notes. So versus a bet on the turn are, yeah. So what do we do? Versus a bet on the turn,
Mhm.
air draw does a pot plus his bet.
Yep. Air gets you exactly pot plus bet.
Air air and draw.
But that's anything under pot. Like if he pots the turn, you fold your air and your draws.
Versus bet under pot on turn, under pit. Aaron draws, go pot plus his bet, pot plus these bet. Our weak value, which is our top pair, so weak value calls,
Weak value is any pair, call.
right? And then strong
Medium value is like top pair.
top pair,
And then strong value is a raise. Over
Right.
pairs plus.
right? And medium value does what?
Medium value just calls.
Medium value calls. Weak value calls, medium value calls, and overpair plus raises
To 3x or 4x, depending on how strong your
4x.
value is.
On strength. Thank you. Save. Yep. Okay.
Okay, small blind unknown, broken stack, and the big blind.
Right.
The one chip.
Yeah.
Check. Facing the check on the turn.
You got
This
middle
B30.
value.
Do you consider this weak value or medium value?
I consider this medium value
Medium value.
because we beat
Okay.
all pairs and we beat all of the aces that he would have here. And we lose to the obvious stuff. So this is medium value.
Okay, yeah. Medium value would bet B30. Checked.
Versus a check on the turn. I thought medium value checks. Oh no, sorry.
No.
That's this is this what is M value? Medium and strong.
Yeah, medium value would bet here.
Right.
Weak value would check.
Yeah, that's just a typo. It's weak value there. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was a bet of B30.
Yeah, assuming we consider it.
Yeah.
I probably was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess this should be weak. This should be medium value.
Yeah, it's medium value.
And then he pots.
Because a queen and a 10 can call you easily.
All right, you've got your bluff catcher, right?
Yep.
Donk one, check, check, pot. 4 to a flush. Where was stats here?
Unknown.
Unknown. This is
Under-
rather
over-
tough. Well, I think we just overfold. This is
Yeah, overfold.
bingo. We just overfold.
Yeah, sometimes he gets us.
Yeah, sometimes on this run out, he gets to win
Yep.
with the
Oh,
nuts.
He has the nuts.
I thought he had, I figured he had a king of diamonds there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if he goes B50, do we call?
Yeah.
Indifferent as fuck. Probably my language.
By the way, your ace was not medium value.
Yeah. Right.
Although, when we think about that hand, if we beat 30, one of two things is going to happen on turn. Now, B30 kind of almost becomes a where you at bet here on turn. So he does this dumb stuff, setting the price for his draw. He
What
gets
was his
here,
size? What
This
was
is
the
a good
size on
play.
the flop?
This is a good play.
and he gets here and he checks. Now, if we beat 30, he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to slow play it all,
Well, we would be 70. Oh, no, you're right. We would be 30. Sorry.
and if we beat 30, he's going to check raise. And depending on his sizing on check raise, we are, maybe we call turn. But we're gonna be alerted to the fact that he feels thick value. So kind of like the B30 here serves a couple purposes on this texture.
Well, and he's not playing it like out of all the donk leads, this is the only one that's been actually balanced. But actually, this is not a bad
Yeah,
play.
yeah, I mean, this is the kind of situation a recreational is gonna be filled with trapping.
What was
And I
his,
trap too much, frankly. I would never trap out of position, but, um,
what was his size on the flop?
one.
One chip,
Okay.
one big blind.
So I like a B, you can almost see the many purposes of a B30 here, right? He's gonna check raise you. Which is gonna get your antenna up. You're probably gonna call one. You're probably
And
gonna call.
probably under check raise you like he's supposed to.
He's gonna trap more than he should.
No, I
So-
think he won't bluff. Like they won't be bluffs.
Oh, I see your point. Population is going to not have any check raise bluffs.
Right.
I
Or-
agree. This is
Or
actually,
very under the required amount or the equilibrium amount.
uh, the legend or the thought is that this is the check raise turn is the most underbluff spot in poker, right? So, arguably you could overfold. I don't really have it in me quite at this point to fold top pair, big kick the gutter. We will flush. But I would probably call on the evaluate river, but, yeah, I mean, you can see where the B30 here does serve other purposes beyond just extracting value.
ISO to limper, who is clearly a loose and aggressive fishy fish.
Yes, my sun run. Hello. Now this becomes interesting. We always call, right?
Yep, this is pure Nuffle. B,
We've got our first potential 4x of the day. Okay,
4x to 60.
so all of a sudden the 4x, so this is a big bet, right? So I think we can jump this into the pot. Don't know. So this is closer to B50. I think I would prefer a click here because of SPR. So if we
SP.
click. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was agreeing with you. Yeah,
Okay,
or we don't
if
have
we
to keep
click,
it.
we get 30, 30, 60, 75. I'd like the click here.
So you'd go 30,
85.
Larry?
I would
How much
click the
you-
30, which will get us to 60 plus 25, which is 85.
Just
If I
think
can do math.
that'll
which
get
is
the, so
on a
there's
good day I
after
can.
this there's
And then
after
we
this
just
there's
go
one more
from
bet.
there. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
dream spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I do here, but I would almost get behind just flatting again.
Yeah,
I
just-
don't think it's the worst. I
Yeah.
don't think it's the worst. I mean, I think click or call. I mean, we all know that if we put this in a solver and node lock, it would give us so many options here when we have 97% equity.
so you called, which and that's not a Nuffle call, right? That was
That's McGuffle.
yeah, that was McNuffle. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so straights came in to scare him.
Yeah. Well, that is an argument for the click.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yep. Get the rest in.
Jam. He has straights, so what?
If he has a straight, good for him.
Yep.
King 10, get your money. No,
Oh,
it does not.
second
What?
pair.
And he called too.
I think we know, we're looking at someone who's on sun run tilt, and this is sun tilt. Is it called sun run tilt? What's the term?
Yeah.
Winner's tilt.
Yeah.
This
Tilt.
is winner's tilt,
Winner's tilt or heater tilt.
heater tilt, yeah. So it didn't matter, right? We are gonna get it anyway, but, we can, I mean, I think Scotty's made an observation. The click also, and I'm also saying this because I am trying to untrain my propensity to slow play. this click serves multiple purposes. If he was being a more aware player, he would understand there's not an equity out there. And he might think, luckily ran into a player who's really drunk and doing well. But yeah, I like the clicker.
I would have probably raised the turn and made less money. So the way that
Well,
Mike played it,
He might have
like
called,
I think
like
he's
my
calling. I mean,
instinct
we just
was
saw what he
to,
called on river.
yeah,
but
like
but
my
if,
instinct was to shove it to 60 and then get it in.
but if here's the thing though, on yours, Derek, if you go to 60 and he calls, I think he's calling river.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of doing this is now his pot odds are a lot more attractive to your shove.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, he's clearly, you've made it. If you go to 60 here, he should know his 9 is not good.
yeah. And then he just folds,
Yeah.
Well,
and I
might
make
just
less
go to
money.
30.
If you
Whereas
go
the
to
way,
30, he might call one more and then fold to the jam on the river when the 2 pairs and straights come in.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, but the way that Mike played it made more would probably make more money.
Well, yeah,
Population.
But any normal person is folding to this river, is folding to the river shove.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
I mean, the one thing I think that we see pretty commonly is that there's no absolute best way to play the Uber nuts,
Yeah.
except to get it all in by river. Now, how you get there, there are a myriad of options.
Yep.
His 9 has to be good here 1 out of 5 times.
And he's only calling 44 or whatever. You're up 40, not even 44, 38. It's only 38.
Yeah,
Is
this is winner's tilt.
Out of 5 times. I don't think.
It's also possible I have 109 hands on him that I just had other, had other reads, like saw how he was playing, and
Yeah, that's true.
it's
That's a good
possible.
point.
And you're playing what, 15, 11?
We're looking at a winning tag.
Yeah, on this particular table, 15, 11.
Yeah. But
Wow.
he gets higher.
It's 14 hands in. Yeah, it will definitely, like 9 max typically will come down. I think my total stats are in the like 2022 type, 2220 type numbers.
At all tables or 9 max?
9 max.
Yeah, I get below 20 on 9 max on ACR because there's just so many calls and flats.
Here's some fishy numbers.
All right.
But yeah, that can show you the,
Oh, yay. Something's going on.
yeah, I think this guy here probably has got something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 98-19.
98. He's 98 and he's not folding to big raises already. You've already seen
98-19, fold to 3-bet, not very often.
And
Right.
he's got 230 big blinds behind.
Great.
Aggression factor 8, 7.
Yeah. Great.
Nice.
Well, it's a dream opponent.
Yeah.
Of course he calls, right?
Yeah.
No.
Where's he go?
All right. How much does he have behind?
He now has 200.
This is
Two
so,
oh-
Oh, this is
1.
gonna get interesting.
but he's definitely a Nuffle candidate in that way.
No. Okay,
Got our straight draw.
he's got B70.
Could you consider ace queen as some kind of value at this point?
Ace king or ace.
Oh yeah,
Ace
Fat.
king?
Ace king.
That's a really good question. And,
I wouldn't.
yeah. Yeah, I don't. I think.
Go
you're
check
right.
on the river. You may win, but I wouldn't call this value.
Maybe the way to look at that is that we don't hear and we apply the appropriate aggression on turn. And then we evaluate on river whether we win more than half the time with the check back. We make
Okay.
an exception maybe,
Yeah.
but I
Also,
think we apply the pressure here.
I also, player dependent. We've seen he's incredibly sticky on the flop. Have we seen how sticky he is on the river?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I would suspect he's calling you with a 3.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is not a guy that you can have a lot of fold equity.
Yeah, I think so.
So if
Why
he
are we
has a
coming to that
better
conclusion?
hand,
Am I missing something?
Player,
he
player,
calls. He
player-
calls, he
Player
calls, he
class?
calls.
Because he's like 98.
Yeah, he's a calling station. So
Yeah,
calling
I didn't
stations,
see
you don't
that.
have a lot
Okay,
of fold
all right.
equity.
What's
This
Does
his
that
is
make
a
limit?
sense?
spot where again I would pull up the secondary and have that up for him in hand.
Ah, that's the
What's he
wise
doing on the
idea.
turn and river a little
Yeah.
deeper?
Yeah, let's
That's
look.
a good idea.
what would you
So
look
now
at?
if we look,
Turn, fold to turn, bet.
see, he actually gets fairly passive on. No, he's betting a lot on the turn.
Right. Look at his folds his folds on turn.
Yeah.
100% fold when he checks.
Yeah, fold to bet, turn folds.
Yeah, so he's not super sticky on turns.
Ah,
And
okay,
then,
that's interesting. He's a calling station pre-flop,
and
but
then
he
what's
folds
his
on
flop
turn.
dunk rate?
Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
Uh,
good idea.
8 out of 15.
Wow, so he donks a
So
lot.
yeah, so I think I'm gonna leave out my speech about sample size here. Okay, so do it.
Okay, you decided to call it that that it has showdown value. Okay.
Okay, and he checks and he shows us.
Uh, 3 deuce offsuit.
Right. There's the 3 that you had to get him off of. Don't know if you would have been able to.
Yeah, I think he missed it. I think this is a missed opportunity. I mean, I see where you're going with this, that against this insane player, you've got showdown, but you also let him win. I mean, you also let him win with a 3. I'm going to be honest. You let him with a 3, and he shouldn't be allowed to win with a 3.
Yeah. But when his range contains nearly 100% or call it 80% of hands.
Yep. You want to play a big pot with him.
You do, but also you've got a lot of ammunition here
If you'd bet
at this stack depth.
turn, if you'd gone pure Nuffle, you would have bet 70% on the turn. Right? And we assume he calls you because
Yeah,
if he does,
assuming we consider ace king air, no pair, no draw.
we're gonna call it.
We go
We're gonna
we
bet
make it 40.
the check. It's gonna bet we're gonna bet 70. Then on the river, we are going to our bluffs are gonna go 70. So let's see what those sizes would be.
So 45, right? 45.
Yeah. So we bet 45 on the turn and he calls us.
So
150.
150 is the pot.
Okay. 150 is the pot. So now we bet another 100, 110 into it. We bet 70 on the river as our bluff.
Yeah, I mean, it's uncomfortable, but
I think you may get a fold.
yeah, it's uncomfortable as hell. And you feel like,
With
I
these-
understand where you got to with this ace high against this particular player class. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I might be just projecting what I hope I can do when I'm telling you this, but I really think you should be employing it.
And we absolutely see how ace king you go, well, I do have showdown value.
Yeah, it makes total sense what you're saying to yourself, especially against this unique kind of unicorn of a player.
All right.
Okay.
You want to do two? It's 12:07 now. Want to do like 2 more and then we'll do a sort of a wrap up?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Right. We get the flat from tight-ish over not so many hands. Oh, we're going multi-way, baby. We're going multi-way. This might be that same player.
Multi-way.
I'm guessing this might have been the same table. Was I over here?
I don't think this is the same table because it's
No.
hard. Oh, that guy. We didn't see that. Yeah, the last guy. Yeah.
No, I think, yeah, it's a different table, I think. All right. Anyway, here we go. So multi-way against these two players, and this guy's been pretty knuckleheadish. Check, donk, B50.
Always call.
Nuffle says call.
Yep.
Get to see a turn.
And Joey says nothing. And this is where Joey shuts up. Because the other guy didn't call. So now,
Okay.
now we are very happy with an overpair. Not, we don't always win, but we're not.
So
Yeah.
this is strong value, but we're still using B30, right?
That's right. Stack sizes, by the way, he's got 100 here. So
So a little bit big, but still. In the
That's
Nuffle range.
fine. Yep.
In the Nuffle range. Fold. If he
10
donked-
5, 10 5 of spades.
Okay, so he donked with bottom with mid pair. Mid pair, no kick.
Yep.
And what was his size? I didn't write it down.
B50, a little less.
Yeah,
B40.
40.
So what's the rule if he don't leaves the turn again?
Depends on the
We raise it.
size.
If you don't leave less than pot, you're raising, right? Times 4 or something like that.
No. Our air and our draws bet the big amount, and then this is what we do with our value. And if he bets over pot, we didn't talk about it because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so we just call basically. So if we faced like a 50%, a B50 here, we would raise our overpairs.
Yeah.
By 3x. If we faced a pot size bet, we would just call.
Right.
Can I ask you a question here about,
And our airs and our draws just fold to the pot size bet?
Pot size bet, fold to the air.
yeah, that's
Air
what I was
folds
gonna
to the
ask
pot
you.
size.
So let's say we're drawing to, let's say hypothetically, we've got ace 8 of diamonds here. And he's got 100 bigs behind on turn right here, right?
Right, correct.
So if he potted this, obviously we're getting offered 33%. We've got an over and we're drawing to the nuts.
Right. So we've got 25% odds. We're in position to get some more money if we get there.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, do we have implied odds to deviate from Nuffle and call? We're in position.
Nuffle doesn't believe that our ace is good.
Okay.
That's
Okay. So, okay. Well, then we got 18%, right?
right. And now not so good.
And we're being offered 33%, but we have implied odds with not a draw.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm curious what you guys think. At this stack depth, which, well, I guess the most important thing is the SPR. At this SPR, let's say
A lot of
9.
folding.
Fold.
A lot of folding, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes you fold flush draws on the turn.
Okay.
ISO, short stacker.
Now, I like your bigger size here when you've got so many people to act behind. And also, I like your hand.
And the cold caller is in the big blind. 6
Mhm.
hands. 110 big blinds.
Two-thirds.
Uh-huh.
66%.
Big blind has 110 behind.
Yes.
I think we want to keep him in. Especially when we're in position
That's
to
all.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe if he's out of position, we can do something different, but if we're out of position, we'll do something different, but I think in position, I like to call him.
Yeah, plus to get your implied odds for your ace king, you need that other guy in.
Yeah, well, in theory, well, his stack, yeah, you're right. His stack depth totally screws on play.
Yeah, that's what it is. We need the other guy in. Not that we're not gonna call this straight up with
Yeah.
but we really want we
Yeah,
really,
he all of a sudden makes us handle, if he's in, our hand has a lot more value.
yeah, that's the weird thing. It's the opposite of the normal Larry rule.
Joey roll?
Yeah. Well, no, the Larry rule, this is, no, this is the Larry rule here, which is I want to be heads up. And it's like, you don't,
Oh, I didn't know how to rule. I like having a rule.
because remember, because you're.
Yes, I'm very, very emphatic about wanting to be heads up.
The
Yeah, I would,
anti-Derek rule.
yeah, I would,
It is
yeah.
the anti-Derek rule.
Yeah, I would almost say that your equity in the pot goes up with the other player in. on-
Absolutely. I
on-
agree, especially when you're in position. This does break. Yeah, this is an absolutely situation where you want to fly.
And the exception is this: if the other guy has pocket fives, you would like to raise right now. You really want deep pocket fives to fold against this guy who could have a worse ace than you.
Yeah.
He steals so much of your
This guy, the full stack or broken stack?
full stack. If the full stack has any pair, you would.
Yeah, we'd love to
want-
deny equity there.
Anything else, and even if he has a pair, it's not so bad because your implied odds go through the roof against him, which because they don't exist for the other guy. Moving on. Short, he bits 70, you call. It doesn't matter.
King 10 of spades over there.
Right. Yeah, you'd love to have him in. You'd love to have King 10 of spades in there, even though he outdrew you. Okay. Short 70%, and this is a ISD. Okay.
What's an ISD?
Straight draw. Gut shot. GSD. Just not an open end. I just wrote it that way.
Okay.
Okay. So let's stop hands there. Great job. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, shout out to
Awesome.
McGuffle. So, I
Right.
mean, we are leaving you with a new poker strategy called McGuffle.
McCuffle.